is Vine Street.
Of course, anyone who's been in your council office knows that you've got quite a bit of the history and the memorabilia of the fire department right there. You're really a buff.
Well, I know. I have a little Dalmatian in my blood there, Jack. I remember, it's funny, we talk about this coming up here in a couple of weeks will be the first anniversary of the Griffith Park's fire of 2007, May 8th. I remember as a kid in 1961 when much of the western sector of Griffith Park, including several homes, were lost in the Beechwood Canyon, Mount Lee area. And I remember driving with my dad and my brothers, and it may have been 82s. I can't swear it was, but back then the firefighters rode on the tailboard of the truck, and they turned left northbound on Western Avenue and right by McLaren High School, and one of the firefighters' helmets slipped off the truck, and my dad pulled over and picked it up, and we caught up to them. They were not on emergency response, but it was during that period of the fire crisis there, and returned the helmet. So 82s is a great house. It's right next to the Hollywood Freeway, and it deserves a new house to serve the people in a stronger way.
You mentioned a few moments ago the new station is being built not with city general funds, but with Prop F bond funds. Remind our viewers about Prop F and what other projects we might see coming from it.
Well, this is towards the tail end of Prop F. You've already seen the great improvements of many fire stations throughout the city, including those in West Los Angeles area. There's a new station out on Venice Boulevard, replacing an old station, kind of like old 82, similar design. When you look at the city's history, you can look at a period of time in architecture, how they designed stations. A previous bond, which rebuilt, let's say, Station 56 in Silver Lake, replaced a station that was built in Silver Lake, which still stands, the building. It's historic monument number 338, old fire station 56 on Rowena at 2838 Rowena Avenue, which is a great restaurant, the Edendale Grill, and they've converted the old bay where the engine stood to a tremendous area, as well as the dining is where the sleeping quarters are now. That was a period in the 1920s, and that firehouse has been retained and restored. The new station was occupied in the early 90s, but that is almost too small now. They have an engine, a paramedic, and the Heavy Rescue 56, which is a citywide apparatus. But now the new stations, thanks to Prop F, are much larger sites for training, for regional training, so companies could stay in service and not have to go downtown to Frank Hotchkiss by Dodger Stadium to train, but train on their own sites. Then if they do get a response, we're able to pull on their turnouts and put on their boots and jump on their engines and respond to the area. In the in the San Fernando Valley, the new airport facility for the air operations for LAFD is supposed to be dedicated later in May. Also, a new facility later this year, Fire Station 4, which will include a dispatch center down here in the Civic Center, is a brand new station out in the East San Fernando Valley, 74s, 83s, and Encino. A whole bunch of stations have been built for that. And I'm trying to get one more built, too, Station 76, which is in the Cahuenga Pass, which is, they open the door and they're right, the engine, the bumper is right in traffic there, and it needs a new location, and we got a spot in the Hollywood Hills, but we still have much community work and process to do before we move ahead on it.
Yeah, no question about that. Prop F bond money may be used to build Fire Station 82, but of course the staffing has to come out of the city general fund. Do we have the personnel currently? I assume we'd need more firefighters, and of course this is a time of tremendous budget crisis.
Well, this particular time, this station, if they broke ground tomorrow, it'd still be probably 36 months before it's complete construction, etc. Still has some environmental work to go. They expect to break ground in the fall. And maybe it's a 24-month construction schedule, but still that's time away. They will always take the existing staffing from 82, the men and women who are currently assigned there, and just transfer them 500 feet away to the new station. We will still retain the old station site because it also serves as a place to locate apparatus for backup, and also the site's so important, Jack, because you know this from your days in the field. The fire companies do get dispatches, about 105 fire companies, engines and truck companies in the city, and in a high hazard day they will pre-deploy staffing and there may be no fire happening, but they'll be coming up to Hollywood and sitting there waiting for the big alarm that may hit the Hollywood Hills, Griffith Park area, or Legion Park. Or when it's heavy winds, they'll do the same thing in the valley. They'll bust up into, let's say, engine 66, truck 66. Truck 66 will stay down there on Fawcett in South Los Angeles, but the engine will come up and assist, let's say, engine 82 and others that are pre-deployed. There's a science to their wonderful service that they provide the people of Los Angeles.
Well, you mentioned the future use of the old Fire Station 82. What other uses planned for the new site?
Well, there's a community room that's going to be built there. There's quarters for the firefighters. There's a lower level there because the site is so small. And it is a small area for their apparatus in the rear. You know, in the old ways, how they used to back in off the street, this will have a drive-through capability. It is near a very busy intersection. There will be signalized control. There'll be some street improvement to make it easier to get on the Hollywood freeway. You know, one thing when that big red fire truck comes out of the street, people do get out of the way. And if there is an alarm up Beechwood Canyon, because some of the residents who you heard were concerned about Beechwood Canyon, they will get there faster than they would if they rolled out of 1800 North Bronson at their present location, had to go up to Franklin, weave through traffic by the commerce there of all that shops along Franklin Avenue there, and then get up to Beechwood Canyon. The new station, they'll roll out the front door, hang a right, they'll get on the Hollywood freeway, and in 20 seconds they'll be up Beechwood, because the off-ramp is right next to, and the on-ramp is right next to the new station. All this works in the favor of the community.
Speaking of which, and finally in about a minute that we have left, give us an update on the restoration of Griffith Park itself.
Well, the first and foremost, if everybody gets a chance, go up to the observatory, come some morning, any day of the week, take a hike. The flowers are unbelievable. The wild flowers, unbelievable. The mustard, which Native Plant Society people will tell you they're non-native, but it's all like Los Angeles. We're all non-native to this beautiful city of the angels. Just are completely covering the burn area. They've come back strong. Other plant, this is purple plant. I got to get its name, Jack, but it reminds me like the Laker colors, you know, the purple and gold with that mustard. It's very pretty. It's a good hike. The park is coming back well. The restoration is happening naturally.
District 4 Councilmember Tom LaBonge telling everybody to take a hike, and he means it. Tom, thanks for joining us on Council
Jack,
Week.
You know that. Thank you. Hike for health.
The vote for the Hollywood Hills Fire Station 82 project to move forward was unanimously approved. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of City Council meetings and programming about City Department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35 or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And we invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. and Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending April 18th, 2008. On behalf of Paul Townsend and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching. And please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
I'm John Walsh from America's Most Wanted. The Los Angeles Police Memorial Foundation is presenting their 37th annual Celebrity Golf Tournament and Family Fun Day. This worthwhile event will be held at the Rancho Park Golf Course on Saturday, May 17th in West Los Angeles. Gates open at 8 a.m. For more information, contact the foundation at 323-276-5970 or the website at lapmf.org. Remember, you can make a difference.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the City Council meeting for Friday, April 25th, 2008. We're here in the John Ferraro Council Chambers at room 340 of City Hall. We meet here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Except for the first Friday of the month, we meet in Van Nuys City Hall. We are televised live on Channel 35 through the city's cable system, and we welcome our viewers, as well as those who are here in Council Chambers and in Van Nuys Council Chambers watching us remotely. We're available also online at lacity.org if you ever need to go there for a wealth of information on city services, on your elected officials, and also you can catch live streaming video of these council meetings and archived video footage of any of our past council meetings. There's also podcasts there, and you can always use your phone to listen into the audio portions of our council meetings by calling 213-621-CITY, and you can listen to any of the council meetings or our committee meetings as well. Our agendas are available online 72 hours in advance, also in person in the city clerk's office or here in council chambers. Special meetings are posted 24 hours in advance. If you'd like to give public comment on any of the items that have not yet received a public comment in committee, please fill out a speaker card in the back, hand it to one of the sergeants at arms at the sides, and we'll make sure we hear your comments on those items. If you have comments of a general nature that are for items under our jurisdiction, we also take general public comment, so feel free to fill out a card, and we'll make sure you get 2 minutes in front of the City Council to address your concerns as well. Joined today by council members Huizar, Labange, Rosendahl, Wesson, and Zine. We are awaiting a couple other council members to begin, and I'd like to recognize right now Councilmember Wesson for a quick presentation while we are awaiting our first presentation after that by Councilmember Parks, and then we'll go to Councilmember Labange for our third one. But we have a tradition here on Fridays, and Mr. Wesson, the floor is all yours. Your record's got to stay perfect.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Come on, Tori. Today is one of my favorite Fridays because it's Pet Adoption Friday. Look at this little baby. Her name is Tori. She's a mixed terrier. This is as big as she's going to get. She's 3 years old. She's very excited, and she's looking for a home. For those of you watching us in television land, you would like to become you'd like to adopt this little girl, please listen. You see her tail is hitting the mic. Tori, she's communicating, and what she's saying is, somebody please take me home. If you would like Tori, you can call 888-452-7381. 888-452-7381. Since we started this program about 2 years ago, we have a 100% adoption policy, with the majority of our animals going to city employees. So if you're up in your offices and you're watching the computer or the television and you see the beautiful tail, because she won't show you her face, please, this is Tori, 3 years old, looking for a home, housebroken. She's got all of her shots, and she wants somebody to take her home right now. So again, oh, now look at this. This is ridiculous. That is, look at that little baby. And if you're looking for unconditional love, trust me, the animals that we offer will give you that. If you call and Tori is already adopted, don't feel bad. We have several shelters and hundreds of dogs. So please, if you're interested in Tori, call 888-452-7381. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wesson, and for the...
And we'll keep Tori around for a little while. Excellent. I have this feeling about her.
Well, that's quite a tale she has, and Mr. Wesson has a 100% record of adoptions, and we appreciate the great work you do to let folks know how many wonderful animals we have in our city shelters available for adoption today. So thank you very much, and I'd next like to recognize Mr. Labange. Mr. Parks, I know, is coming very soon, but Mr. Labange, for a very special presentation for a very special school.
Good morning, members. Very pleased on this Friday morning to salute Ivanhoe Elementary School's one-to-one learning program. This particular program is very unique. And I'm going to ask Carlos Hernandez, who is the great educator who has been working on this program, to speak about it. And I want each and every one of you and everybody out there in this TV land, including you, Todd Light from KNX 1070, to talk about this program, because this is what it's all about. And I want you to open up with why we were sleeping last night, what happened in the world.
Greetings, Carlos Hernandez from Ivanhoe Elementary School. I'm fortunate to have two of my students from Ivanhoe, as well as Linda Risha here. We are very proud to be the first non-charter public elementary school in the Los Angeles Unified School District to pilot a one-to-one learning program. The one-to-one learning program, the idea is very simple. It's basically to put a laptop in the hands of every 4th and 5th grader, but it doesn't stop at the classroom door. Students actually take the computers home and are creating all kinds of projects, science-related podcasts, book report, iMovies, keynote presentations, and the growth in terms of the student work, the levels that they're reaching in terms of their achievement has been absolutely impressive. Teachers are reaching new levels and incorporating technology. We actually have a video that we would like to show.
Hit it, Kenny. Okay. Good. Turn it up. One-to-one. Now, here's the situation. When we went to school, Miss Hahn, they had books. And did we read all our books? I don't know. You know, we've talked about it all the time. But today, at this school, the first public school in Los Angeles, non-charter, because of this man and support of community, the administration, and Apple Computer, this one-to-one program. And now, we're going to ask Gracie and Natasha. And Carlos, would you introduce them formally for me? Just to give a brief review of what this is. Because the whole world is in this right now. Remember that song, The Whole World in His Hands? This is the whole world now because of the computer. Children.
So I'd like to introduce Natasha Pinon and Gracie Carrasco, two of our 5th graders who will be graduating from Ivanhoe, to talk a little bit about how their education has changed.
Well, I have learned with the one-to-one program a lot of new devices on the computer and things, and we've made projects on GarageBand and iMovie and Keynote, and Gracie can tell you about those.
Well, we're actually working on this Keynote project about elements.
Which we did in science.
Yeah.
And we we made an iMovie about our element, and we just put it on to the Keynote, and we made a presentation.
Good job.
We will have those on the website.
Mr. President, members, this is what it's all about, and it's a one-to-one change in the format of how things are being done. And Carlos Hernandez, I certainly want to salute you. Linda Risa, give her a big hand. She is a great administrator here. And for a few moments here, Mr. Perez from Apple.
Yes, well, on behalf of Apple, I would just like to thank Ivanhoe on a job well done. And congratulations to these two kids. As I was talking to them in the elevator today, I asked them, do you get a lot of homework from school? And they say, no, we get a lot of projects. It's more fun. And it's so exciting to watch kids use the technology from Apple to do project-based learning and bring their school to the 21st century. So on behalf of Apple, thank you, and Carlos and everyone, good job.
Good, thank you. And I also want to salute our Sue Massey right there. Stand up, please, from the Friends of Ivanhoe. Gloria Carrasco, the mother, who's so happy with this here. And then also Bridget LaBonge, my daughter, my oldest daughter right there. My lovely wife, I'm kidding you. All right, baby, I'm kidding you. The Friends of Ivanhoe. Members, all I just want to say, I am not technology intuit, as what? Is how you could say it. But seeing my son Charles, who loves to slide in the dirt playing baseball, he loves to use this computer to go to the world. And if he goes down a bad street, Miss Hahn, Mr. Hernandez finds out about it. I mean, if he goes to the wrong site, they all find out about it, so they're prevented from any of that bad avenues that may be in this worldwide network called the web. But the one-to-one is so important, and members, I'm just so, when I saw this video, I was so impressed. I wanted to share it with you, so as you work with your schools, you could find a way to help each of the schools become one-to-one, because that is the future. Mr. Hernandez, I thank you. Ms. Risha, everybody here, I thank you. In the back room, we will make the presentations. Let's give Ivanhoe Elementary, the first one-to-one school, LA Unified, a big hand. Here we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. LaBonge. We do have a quorum here. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll. Oh, yeah, Mr. Weezer, if you'd like to add your wishes.
Excuse me, Mr.
Sure,
President, I want to give a big congratulations. Thank you so much. As a former school board president, being on the school board, we recognize your achievements and everything you do at that school. I want to thank to our corporate sponsors, Jaime Perez and others who continue to help our schools. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weezer. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Weezer, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Reyes moves. Mr. Smith seconds. Without objection, those minutes will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Parks moves, and Mr. Zine seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well.
Mr. President, would you like to
Let's run through the agenda real quick, and then we'll come back for Mr. Parks' presentation, which will be next. Colleagues, we're going to run through the agenda, so if there's items you'd like to call special, please pay close attention. We'll go through the first group of items, please. And since they're all ordinances, why don't we hold them on the table? We do expect 12. So if we can go to the second set. Starting with 12. We're going to hold 1 through 11 on the desk till we have 12 members. That gives us, colleagues, the items that are coming next. That's 12 through 18. Mr. Zine?
44.
We're not quite there yet. Mr. Reyes?
Item 17, I want to continue for 1 week.
Okay, 17. No objection to continuing 1 week. We'll do that. That will be till Friday, the 2nd of of May. And Mr. Rosendahl, you wanted 18, right? Special, okay. I will call 12 special, which is Commissioner, and 14 special for myself. Any other specials, colleagues? On 12 through 18? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead on the balance. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Without objection, we'll send 16 forthwith. Next items, please.
Next are items 19 through 38, and those are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. And, Mr. President, there are cards on 25, 26, 31, 33, and 34.
Okay, we'll call those special for cards from the public. Are there other special items, colleagues, that you'd like to call at this moment? We'll hold the ordinances as well on the desk. That's 19 through 24. Seeing no others, we'll open and close the public hearings on those. Please prepare the roll on the balance and tabulate the vote.
$11 ayes.
Those are approved. We can take up the continuation items.
Items 39 and 40 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay. We will hold 40 special as an ordinance on the desk. Anybody wishing to call 39 special? Mr. Parks? Okay.
As a continuance from Wednesday, and also 40, and we're looking for a report on that, so just hold it until we...
Okay. If we can recess regular meeting and call the roll for the special meeting, please.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay. We have items 41 through 43 before us, colleagues. Anybody wishing to call those special? 41 through 43? Seeing none, let's go ahead, take those up. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item, please.
Next is item 44, and that is an item for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and, Mr. President, there is a card on this item.
Okay, if no objection, we'll take that item into consideration. We'll call it special from card from the public, and if we can continue that meeting back into the regular meeting and adjourn the special meeting. Okay? And we will set, if there's no objection, we'll send 41 forthwith. Any other items, Mr. Reyes? Okay. All right. I'd like to recognize for our next presentation then Mr. Bernard Parks, our council member from the 8th District, for a very special presentation for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask Reverend Dr. Cecilia Williams Bryant to come up. How you doing? Let me get you up here. There's Yvette. Also, I'd like to ask Yvette Williams to come up. Colleagues, we have a very special day today. We have the First Lady of the 5th Episcopal District, Dr. Cecilia Williams Bryant, and we also have the First Lady of Ward AME Church here today. We're having them here because they are putting on a conference for Women's Global Resources and Development Initiative, which goes through this weekend at Ward AME. It's in honor of Ecological Justice Day of Awakening. They're going to have a keynote speaker, Dr.
Wangari Maathai.
Maathai. Dr. Maathai will be here from Africa. She'll be here at the program. In fact, she's arriving in the U.S. Today. They've been working on a grassroots level and ability to improve the environment in the country through the efforts. She is based in Kenya, which is part of the Green Belt movement. In addition to celebrating this effort with Dr. Maathai, the event is also going to honor a local environmentalist from Watts, California, Anna Marie Carter, known to all of us as the Seed Lady. This event will celebrate the earth as a heritage to all people and honor the two women who have worked tirelessly to restore, preserve, and celebrate the integrity of the earth. Ecological Justice Day will also include public forums, discussions on ways to preserve the earth, most vital natural resources, and awareness of building tips for families to become more ecologically sensitive in everyday lives. This organization is based in Los Angeles and is affiliated with the 5th district of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. The organization's objectives is to develop communities of women across the national and cultural boundaries in an effort to develop and sponsor programs, activities that nurture healthy self-value, self-worth, self-esteem in women and children. It will focus on also financial empowerment, health, wellness, youth, and children. It's historic that Ward AME of Los Angeles is the host of this exceptional conference. We look forward and certainly are pleased that we had the ability to help co-host this with the 8th District. I'd like this time to give a certificate to the First Lady of the 5th Episcopal District. And let me get this off you, don't mess up your picture.
Okay.
5th Episcopal District, Cecilia Williams Bryant, and say thank you for what you're doing in our community and also bringing a very important, sensitive...
We can't quite hear you, Mr. Parks, if you want to get a little closer to the microphone.
I'm sorry. We want to really thank Dr. Reverend Bryant. And I want everybody to know also her husband, I do this to some degree, is the bishop over the 5th District. And so she just has chosen to take on this ecology movement on her own and is bringing Dr. Matai. And I also have to say hello to my good friend, Yvette Williams, the First Lady of Ward AME. And so I want to thank you for being here and ask you to address the council.
Thank you.
And just before we hear from you, Dr. Bryant, I know another council member would like to add his good wishes, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. President and members, and to our two First Ladies. I want to say that it's really, this obviously is a very important presentation to Council Member Parks because he got a haircut. So, I mean, he definitely wanted to look his best on this day. I had the honor and the privilege to spend some quality time with Miss Bryant, Dr. Bryant, when we were, in fact, Mr. President, you were there back at the last convention that we had in Boston. And she's not only brilliant, a very delightful individual, and one who cares about other people. This is just, I think, a blessing for us that you're with us on this morning. And I do want you, as a favor to me, to give my best to your husband, who is a fine man as well, and he's very lucky to have you. And her beautiful garb with an African flair that she has on today just happens to be my fraternity colors, black and gold. So I truly appreciate you wearing the best colors. And to First Lady Williams, welcome. This is the first time that we have actually met. I have met your husband. Ward AME is a bedrock in our community. And the Ward AME Economic Development Corporation worked years with Councilman Holden, who was my boss and mentor, and you're building a phenomenal Rosa Parks Villa in the 10th District on Crenshaw and the 10 freeway. So I look forward to working with you more, and any quality time that I could get to spend with a distinguished person like yourself, Dr. Bryant, is just my pleasure. Thank you, and welcome to City Hall.
Thank you. Praise the Lord. To our council president, to our esteemed members of the council, and to our co-sponsor, Bernard Parks in the 8th District. This is a signature moment this morning, and I can't help think as I reflect on the children from the Ivanhoe School who preceded us, how interconnected we all are. Today is a very special day in the history of Los Angeles, because from this city, we will be reaching out to heal the nations. As a result of the support of Council District 8, we will be digging wells for children in Swaziland. We will be planting trees in Kenya. And we will be supporting the renewal of the earth right here in Watts in Los Angeles. I am desperate to encourage each of you, whichever district you represent, to begin to be intentional about the healing of the earth. Unless we work together and plan together and prepare together for the healing and renewal of the earth, the air, the water, the land, any other decisions that we make will be moot. Because of the extent of the damage to the earth, we are blessed that the commissioned artwork for this event has been done by an Angelian, Kathleen Atkins Wilson, who has done a limited signature edition of Woman Awakening. And all the proceeds from this artwork will go to renew the earth in developing as well as developed nations. I can't tell you how important it is, not just that you send someone, but that you be present on tomorrow. We take so much for granted in the United States. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Wangari Maathai, the first person to receive a Nobel laureate in ecology, and the first African woman to receive a Nobel laureate, has had 3 different threats to her life in the past 2 months. This is of major concern, not just for the United States, but for all of us and the United Nations who care about the protection of the earth. Thanks to Bernard Parks, we will have an eco-village for children 4 to 11 and a teen encounter, a tent for teenagers 12 to 17. This is a global experience that is intergenerational and urgent. I invite you to join us tomorrow at Ward AME Church at 1177 West 25th Street. We need your prayers. We need your support. We need your presence. And thank you for your encouragement this morning. God bless you all.
We're going to go in the back and take some photos. And thank you so much for blessing us with your presence as well. It's been an honor to have you here. I'd like to recognize for our next presentation from the 14th Council District, Mr. Jose Huizar. But as he goes forward, I'd like to present on behalf of the Council to him a little congratulations on the birth of his new son. We all surprised you and have this for you. Simon Luis Huizar, or Simon Luis Huizar, who was born February 23rd at 3:10 a.m., which I'm sure is a time burned into your memory, at 7 pounds, 10 ounces, and 20 inches long. Felicidades. Congratulations, Papa Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and it's certainly been a blessing to have Simon in our household. He's about 7 weeks old now, and I was just really excited to be able to name him after my father, Simon, who passed away in 1991, and my father was a hardworking, humble man from Zacatecas, Mexico, and I hope young Simon is able to walk in his shoes and just be able to live like he did. So thank you very much, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
And I'm also here today to announce a very special event this Sunday here in downtown Los Angeles on the Broadway corridor. You know, here in Los Angeles, with the great diversity that we have one of the largest Cinco de Mayo celebrations each and every year. This year we will be celebrating the 19th year that people get together on Broadway to celebrate Mexico's Battle of Puebla, hear good music, eat some good food, and to get the community together to celebrate a great, great community that we have in downtown LA. This year, we are expecting over 500,000 people. And it's going to be no different than the other years with the great talent that we will have performing on different stages. We have Pilar Montenegro, who's here with us today. Ramon Ayala, El Flaco Elizalde, who's here. Where's El Flaco? El Flaco Elizalde, where is he?
He's not here.
Oh, he had to leave, right? Okay. And we also have great mariachi. A Mexican festival wouldn't be the same without great mariachi. We have El Mariachi Monumental de America and many, many others. With us today as well, we have Carly Enriquez from MTV3. Thank you for being here today. Many of you recognize her. And we also want to acknowledge AT&T and State Farm Insurance for, give them a big round of applause for being sponsors. We have with us today Robert Villegas from State Farm Insurance. Thank you very much, Robert. And here's Flaco Elizalde. There you are. Welcome. Can't wait to hear your music on Sunday. ¿Me entendiste? No.
Todo muy bien, muchas gracias.
Okay.
Contento de estar con toda la gente.
Gracias. He said everything's good. He's happy to be here. So with that, let me introduce to you Lupita Sanchez from AT&T, who will say a few words. Please give her and AT&T a big round of applause for helping sponsor this event. Thank you, Lupita.
Thank you, Councilman. Good morning, Council President Garcetti and members of the LA City Council. It's my pleasure to be here representing AT&T as the area manager for Los Angeles in External Affairs. My name is Lupita Sanchez Cornejo, and AT&T is once again proud to be a title sponsor of the AT&T Fiesta Broadway, recognizing the great talent of our Latino community, people like Pilar Montenegro, who will serve as the Grand Marshal, and different performers. I have been with AT&T for 7 years, and I am delighted to work for a company that values the diversity of California, Los Angeles, and am proud to represent a company like AT&T that is committed to the Latino community. We have over 1,000 Spanish-speaking employees here in California, and we have a lot of businesses who prefer to do business in Spanish. I hope that you will all get a chance to come out on Sunday to the Fiesta Broadway, and I invite you to the AT&T stage to see some of the performers and our carnival style for a lot of the families to come out and enjoy some prizes and get to see our services. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lupita. And now I would like to introduce a representative from one of the coolest Latino channels, MTV3. With us today, a partner with Fiesta Broadway, Lucia Trainer Vallas. Lucia?
Gracias y buenos días. MTV3 and our local affiliate, KBH Channel 63, are thrilled to return to Fiesta Broadway. Our musical lineup is a reflection of the music mix that we have on MTV3. We feature a mix of hot, established Latin artists as well as emerging new artists. Our focus is on Latin music because the sounds, the music, the artists, and this form of expression define our young Latino audience. So together with Wisin y Yandel, and Cruz Martinez, Kate Luna, Pee-wee, Malverde, Tony Dice, and Prima J, MTV3 will make sure that this is an unforgettable event. And Carly will share with you when we're airing this event on MTV3.
I've always wanted to say this. Hello, Mr. President.
I've always wanted you to say it. So.
MTV3 will also be airing a 1-hour special hosted by me, Carly Enriquez, and Elle Beggs, highlighting the events on May 3rd at 2 o'clock on MTV3.
Great, thank you. We're going to watch that. Also, another great partner with us for Fiesta Broadway is KVEA Channel 52. With us today is the Vice President for Community Relations. Many of you know him. Needs no introduction. Victor Franco. Victor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Garcetti. It is a pleasure to be here this morning representing Telemundo 52 here in Los Angeles. And, you know, it's going to be exciting. 500,000 people coming out this Sunday to Fiesta Broadway to celebrate the independence of Mexico. But I also have to tell you that even though we're going to have fun, there's going to be entertainment, there's going to be a family affair, music. We also felt that it was important for us to take the opportunity to grab the moment, if you will. 500,000 folks coming out to Fiesta Broadway is a great opportunity for Telemundo to take advantage of the initiative that we started early last year. Vota por tu futuro, which in essence means vote for your future. So we felt it critical for us to set up information booths and have registration, voter registration tables and so forth to help people understand, to help them, to motivate them, to learn and to understand that it's important for them to vote. We are here to improve America. We're here to help build America. And the only way that we can do that is by becoming civically engaged. And the only way to be heard is through the vote. So we're here Sunday. We're going to set up booths, and we're going to make sure that we get the message out that it's critical for our viewers, our Latino viewers, to understand the importance of voting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor. And now I would like to introduce one of the featured performers of Sunday's Fiesta Broadway, the Grand Marshal. Many of you know her as a fantastic telenovela artist, but she also is a great singer and performer. She began her career at 8 years old performing the beloved musical Annie. I asked her earlier if she remembered those lines, and she said she does, where her theater career lasted more than 3 years. In 1989, she became a member of the world-famous tropical dance pop group Garibaldi. She traveled with the band throughout Mexico, the U.S., Europe, and Africa. She soon followed up with soap operas and musicals, participating in telenovelas like Volver a Empezar and a few others. In 2002, she started her solo singing career with great success and sold over 1 million albums, Desahogo, which earned her platinum status across musical charts. The song Quítame ese hombre, which means take that man
away from me.
Take that man away from me. Many people would like to say that, right? Was the #1 song for more than 13 weeks on Billboard magazine's Latin track charts. And now we are lucky to have her here with us, one of the greatest performers we will have at Fiesta Broadway. And I would first like to acknowledge her achievements and present her a certificate, a resolution from the City of Los Angeles, our mayor, our city attorney, and our controller. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, welcome to the city. I hope this is not the last time we see you, and we will see you on Sunday. Thank you.
Que Dios los bendiga, muchas gracias, buenos días. Para mí es un honor recibir este reconocimiento como mexicana.
God bless you. Good morning. It's a great honor for me to receive this recognition this morning.
Estoy muy agradecida, me siento muy responsable al recibir este honor tan grande.
I'm
que
very
Dios los
grateful and
bendiga.
I feel great responsibility in having
Estoy
received
feliz de
this
estar
great
en la Fiesta
honor.
Broadway nuevamente.
I'm very happy to participate in Fiesta
It's a
Broadway
great
once again.
honor to be here. Thank you very much.
And finally, we have Robert Villegas, from the Public Affairs Specialist with State Farm Insurance, who will share a few words. Robert?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. We're very proud and very honored and happy to be able to serve as presenting sponsors, and along with the other corporate sponsors and All Access, the organizers of the event, and the many city employees that help us with police and fire and other activities to make the festival possible. Obviously, the street closures and the large number of people that we'll have, and creating that safe and family-friendly environment is something that we're very proud to be able to bring to the community at no charge to the participants in the festival. So it's a great honor to be here, and it's a pleasure to be able to support Fiesta Broadway. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A Mexican celebration couldn't be one without our great music. And with us today we have El Mariachi Monumental, who will play one song for us, so you could give you all a taste of what it's going to be like on Sunday. Welcome, Mariachi. Thank you very much, Mr. President, y que viva Mexico.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar. And thank you for that very special presentation. As we await Mr. Zine will be our next presenter, but as he goes forward to the podium, I'd like to take up the ordinances now that we have 12 members, with the exception of 7, which we'll call special for a card from the public. So that would be 1 through 6, 8 through 11, and 19 through 24. And when those are ready, if you'll please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. And Mr. Zine for our next presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm joined by a man who's worth billions of dollars.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have a presentation to make. Your family can come up and join us.
Yeah.
The crew that you have here, your friends, neighbors. We are here to congratulate a retiring city employee who spent many, many years with the City of Los Angeles, General Manager, Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System, so people who work for the city get a pension. The man who's run that for many, many years is standing here with me, along with friends and neighbors and colleagues. Robert Aguayo Jr. retired February 2008 after more than 31 years of service to the financial services community, 5 years as General Manager of Los Angeles City Retirement System, also known as LACER. During his 5 years with LACER, presided over the significant growth of the investment portfolio and expansion of the customer service program for LACERs. When he took over the helm in 2003, the portfolio was only at $6 billion. And I say only because today the trust fund for retired benefits is $11.2 billion. I'm sure the governor would like to know about that. He was responsible for the administration of $525 million annually for retirement and health benefits on behalf of the LACER's 45,000 members and the beneficiaries, people who've done their service to the people of Los Angeles and retire. LACER's is the pension fund that supports them and their families. Tremendously enhanced the portfolio by taking on new strategies, including urban infill, workforce housing, clean tech, and environmental investments that will yield great returns and give something back to the community. Formerly the Assistant Executive Officer, serving as the Chief Operating Officer for Investment Opportunities of the California Public Employees Retirement System, known as CalPERS, for 8 years. 6 years served as CalPERS Assistant Executive Officer, Financial Administrative Services. Served as Deputy Director, Department of Aging for 6 years. Also served for 10 years at the Department of Finance, who was responsible for budgets for Medi-Cal programs, state hospitals, Department of Corrections, and prison construction programs. If you want to make investments, this is the man you want to talk to. Began his career in public service for the California State Legislature as a legislative fellow, also a volunteer and mentor to students at UC Davis, served on the UC Davis Alumni Board of Directors, also served on the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, currently a board member and vice chairman of the Robert Twigo Foundation and a board director on the California Association of Public Retirement Systems, CalPERS. In 2004, Hispanic Magazine selected him as one of the 100 most influential Hispanics, has a bachelor's and master's degree in political science from the University of California, Davis. I'd like to gratefully acknowledge you for your extraordinary contribution to the City of Los Angeles and the many employees who have benefited from the investments that you've been responsible for, and commend you for your steadfast leadership, contributions to our pension fund system, and your dedication and advanced professional excellence and inclusion in the financial service industry for so many wonderful years. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, we have a congratulations to you for your many, many years here at the City of Los Angeles, 33 years, and all those wonderful accomplishments that you've been responsible for our official acknowledgement of all the wonderful work you've done. And if it wasn't for the investment profile that you had, many people on a pension, as we know sometimes pensions in the private sector don't do as well as they should, your leadership and guidance has maintained that, and now it's thriving. Even though the economic downturn has taken place, with your leadership, it didn't affect our pension fund. So to you, congratulations on behalf of the people of Los Angeles, the retired people of Los Angeles in particular, that are living comfortably off the pension benefits where they served so many wonderful years for the people of LA. And we're now going to give the microphone to you. And the people, wow, I didn't know we had so many people there. If you want to identify some of the folks that are standing here with us. Robert, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember Zine. Mr. President, members, it's really a pleasure to be here, to be honored by the Council. At the tail end of my public service career, I've been very fortunate to work for 2 governors and 2 mayors. I've also been fortunate to work for the City of Los Angeles. This has been the apex of my public service career, having worked for a very innovative Lacers Board of Administration, a very dedicated staff, the staff led by Tom Maudas and the staff behind me. The Lacers Board was very innovative and developing new innovative strategies, customer service focus, serving over 44,000 members. We're honored to be here, and I want to thank you. As I leave the city service, I will definitely continue to live in this great city of Los Angeles and be part of this great community. Again, thank you, Councilmember Zine. Thank you, Mr. President and members. It's been a pleasure.
We'll go back to some photos.
Thank you. Congratulations on your years
Thank
of
you.
service. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Zine.
Let's go back to some
Ms.
photos.
Parks.
This way.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a group, I'd like them to come up, Azusa Street Mission Festival to come up. And this is in behalf of Jan Perry in the 9th District. She could not be here today, but we're going to do this for her. How you doing?
Good to see you, sir.
As they come up, we're going to cue that they have a song that will come on the DVD, Agnes Dale, that will be played before we get into the presentation. It's particularly enjoyment for me to be here because he learned that in one day of my instruction and the 8th District music class. But we're here in behalf of Jan Perry to give an honor to Azusa Street Mission Festival. In 1906, William Joseph Seymour, an Angelino and the son of a slave, started a worldwide Pentecostal movement in a mission on Azusa Street in Little Tokyo. Today, that movement is the fastest growing Christian religious organization with over 500 million followers throughout the world. The Azusa Street Mission in Little Tokyo is considered the birthplace and the cradle of the Pentecostal movement. Azusa Street is a major cultural tourism venue for the city of LA, and under the leadership of William Joseph Seymour and his wife, Jenny. Today, Los Angeles is considered the most dynamic and diverse multicultural city in the world. Today, Los Angeles City Council declares April 24th through 27th as Azusa Street Pacific Week and welcomes visitors and delegates to the city of Los Angeles and recognizes the contribution of Pastor William Joseph Seymour and his wife, Jenny Seymour, in igniting the flame of spiritual renewal. I'd like to now ask Fred Berry, the founder of Azusa Street Mission, to come up and receive this certificate. On behalf of the 9th District, just like to say Jan Perry would love to be here. I wanted to present this to you in behalf of her, certainly her support of the mission, and would like you to come up and make some comments at this time.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to take pictures in the back. Okay, good. Well, thank you, Councilman Parks, and greeting Council President and Council members. As a pastor in this city and a member of this Azusa Street Mission and Historical Society, we want to just say thank you for having us in your city. I brought delegates today as proof of what William J. Seymour did 102 years ago that has reached many of the nations of the world. I have delegates here from Brazil, and you just heard music from Davy Maia, who is in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and he'll be one of the groups that will be performing during the Azusa Street Festival, which started yesterday, will go all the way until Sunday, and they're here today. Pastor Joel Costa is the president of the Brazilian Assemblies of God in America. His father is president of the Brazilian Assemblies of God in Brazil. 16 million members associated with the Azusa Street Mission here in Los Angeles. I want to just greet all of them. These are all our delegates from Brazil, and there are many more from Africa and Europe. And I just want to let people know that they can be a part of the festival. It's a multicultural festival in the heart of downtown Los Angeles, and the end goal will be to feed and minister to the homeless in Skid Row. So we want to just thank you for receiving us, and we want to also let you know on Saturday we're honoring with the first ever William J. Seymour Award, Bishop Charles E. Blake of West Angeles Church of God in Christ will receive that honor, and that will be a continuing honor in the city every year, bringing tourists in from all the different nations to celebrate, to honor the history and legacy of William J. Seymour and multicultural fellowship and worship in downtown Los Angeles. And we want to just say thank you. Thank you. All right, very good.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Did you wish to do your, Ms. Parks, you wish to do your second one now or come back?
Back and come back.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Gruhl? Okay, there's no more. We can. Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, let's take up item number 12, the commissioner appointment, please.
Item number 12 is a commission appointment of Mr. Frederick R. Horowitz to the Employee Relations Board.
Mr. Horowitz, welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Good morning. What time did I tell you to be here? Didn't I tell you it would start sometime between whenever and whenever?
You're exactly accurate.
Exactly accurate. Well, we interviewed you in my office. You came to committee and interviewed you in committee, which was basically the follow-up to the office. And you have a great resume. Arbitration, mediation, an expert in that field. So to move this matter forward, I think it would be appropriate for this council to support the Employee Relations Board, where you will serve for the people of Los Angeles on those many difficult tasks and challenges that await you. Why you want to do that, sometimes we question, but nevertheless, you've got great experience in that particular field, so I think you'll do well. So there'll be a recommendation to approve the recommendation by the mayor, Mr. Horwitz, to that position as a new commissioner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Commissioner, do you want to say a word?
No, thank you. I appreciate the challenge and look forward to serving the people of your city.
Thank you very much. There are no speakers on the queue. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Commissioner, confirmed. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve the people of LA. We very much appreciate that. Thank you. Next item.
Next is item number 7, and that was called special, since there is a card on this item.
Okay. We do have a card from the public on item number 7. Let's take the public testimony first. Mr. Zumadog.
Yes, I'd like to take a minute to talk about the Grand Avenue project. Here it's Grand Avenue and 12th Lighting District. I say you definitely should approve the lighting at Grand Avenue because the project's never going to happen. It's just going to become a blighted area. People are going to be moving in, and you don't have enough police enforcement, as we know from the mayor. So I'd like to say please approve this lighting upgrade of Grand and 12th for the Grand Avenue project, because the project is going to drag on for years. I don't think it's ever going to end up being completed. So when you have a situation like that, that's when crime and blight moves in, and people from Skid Row will be moving down into this area, as it's just kind of a all under development hodgepodge, nothing going on. And as we know, due to the mayor has to triple trash collection fees because we don't have enough police. So they just admit there's not going to be enough police for all of this at the Grand Avenue. So please approve this, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Seeing no other speakers on the queue, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next is item number 14, and that was called special by Councilmember Garcetti.
Mr. Garcetti is not in chamber.
Hold it. Okay.
We'll hold item number 14 then. Next item.
Next is item number 18, and that was called special by Councilmember Rosendahl.
Mr. Rosendahl, item number 18. He's coming.
Sorry for being where I was just at the moment. Colleagues, this has to do with you experienced with me when we were talking SB 1818, and I voted against our SB 1818 strategy because in my district, frankly, I feel it's an assault on character and scale of community with really not enough affordable housing to make it worth all the energy that really impacts us in a negative way. So this is the project in its next iteration before us, and I'd like to have an understanding of things. But what I'd like to do is open up the public hearing, let the people speak, and have the reaction from the planning department and city attorneys. But just as an opening, I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. I've heard comments on how the mitigated negative declaration is inadequate. Is that true?
Shauna Bonston, City Planning Department. As determined by the City Planning Commission, the MND is adequate and provides appropriate mitigation measures to address the potential environmental impacts that were identified. The project description is well within our thresholds of an MND. The city staff followed our adopted CEQA thresholds guideline and evaluated the project for issues such as shading and light and land use, and included within the mitigation, the MND mitigation measures to address these.
Bigger question for me, can any additional conditions be added to the mitigated negative declaration?
Conditions can only be added on previously identified impacts within the MND. The MND identifies impacts, and we included conditions that mitigate these. Under CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, we evaluated projects according to established standards. Even then, the additions to conditions would require recirculation of the MND, and it would be subject to an agreement by the applicant. So in short, yes, but it's complicated.
Okay, we were waiting for the city attorney's office to come, and I want to open up public comment. But one other thing I want to say is I was with a constituent by the name of Raleigh the other day. We were just opening up the first in America home for Iraqi vets in the neighborhood there. And then we walked around this building that's being created. And I was very concerned about ingress, egress in the alley and some safety issues that could come out of it. As you might know, there's an incredible restaurant called Paco's up the street. There's other cars coming and going. We're concerned about some safety issues. How do you address that?
The safety, to my understanding, is evaluated within the MND. In terms of the parking, we're pretty restricted. The state government code section 65915, which covers the state density bonus program, stipulates that we cannot request more than one parking space for one bedroom unit for the entire project. The 26 total parking spaces are provided for this 25-unit project.
Well, I have a lot of problems with this, and I have a lot of problems with 1818. But if, Mr. President, if I could open up the public hearing until the city attorney's office gets here so that we can get them to respond as well. Just turn your chair around and listen to the folks, and then react to that as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. Ben Resnick, and followed by Vicki Carlin.
Good morning, members of the council. Ben Resnick with Jeffrey Mangels, Butler, and Marmoro, representing the applicant. What you have before you today is a very narrow, simple case, actually. The project is 18 units plus the density bonus, so it's a 25-unit project. It's zoned R3. It's planned R3. It's been that way for 50 years. With respect to concern of safety, Councilman Rosendahl, the Department of Transportation specifically requested that the cars exit from the alleyway so that it would be safer rather than directly to Louise. So they looked at it and they made a determination that that's the way the access should go. With respect to what's before you, there's an appeal saying that the environmental review on this 25-unit project is inadequate. Planning Commission found it to be adequate and, in fact, imposed additional conditions on this very small project. This is an SB 1818 project. It does have the affordability component. It also complies with the new ordinance that you just passed in terms of the affordability. So I guess the question would be if this project can't get past a MND on a 25-unit project with affordable housing, I don't know what project in the city can. I think you need to look at this and realize that the appeal being brought before you, there's no substantial evidence of impacts that have not been mitigated. That's the test. Are there impacts that have not been considered, looked at, or mitigated? And the Planning Commission, Planning Department, all unanimously decided that they have been fully mitigated. So your Plum Committee, I know, spent a lot of time on this. They ultimately recommended denial of the appeal. We recommend that you go with the Plum Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicki Carlin.
Thank you. Council members, you have the opportunity to demonstrate your understanding that doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason will create the right result. I genuinely believe this down to my essential core. We raised this reasonable appeal because of an incomplete perfunctory evaluation rendered in an office 15 miles from the site of basic environmental conditions present in the immediate neighborhood surrounding the apartment construction at issue. This appeal is about the importance of ensuring a fair evaluation of fact. It's about valuing the community plans that the mayor has just allocated a handsome budget to cover in an otherwise lean fiscal year. Your A vote on this agenda item enables a precedent-setting critical analysis of the impact of arguably needed affordable housing on existing residential neighborhoods, which currently does not exist. It's your backing that will advance insightful city planning that's imperative to making Los Angeles a vibrant, great place to live and a hard place to leave. I challenge you to debate amongst yourselves why saying yes to accurately and fairly identifying and addressing potential environmental hazards is essential and appropriate. I live in this area. I see cars being dented on the only alleyway. It's a 20-foot wide alley. There's traffic two-way. There are cars that park on this alley, and this is the sole entrance and exit for this new housing development that will at least have 25 cars. In this case, it may easily mean the difference between reducing traffic hazards proactively rather than doing so after they become a city liability. When someone gets hit by a car and council then decides to dedicate a meeting to his or her honor for harm truly within your power to prevent today.
Thank you very much. Raleigh Reich, followed by Noel Weiss.
Both the original 50-foot project and the revised 45-foot project violate the community plan. This development is out of scale and character with the surrounding R1 neighborhood. The city made a serious error in 1986 when AB 283 mandated that zoning be made consistent with land use. At the time, the land use of the Louise property was designated as low density, and zoning was R3. The actual use of the property, which consisted of 7 units, indicated land use of low-medium density and RD 1.5 zoning. The property, therefore, should have been downzoned from R3 to RD 1.5 and land use changed to low-medium. Instead, the city changed the land use to medium to accommodate the existing R3 zoning. Because of that error, the community is now faced with a building that is grossly out of scale and character with the surrounding neighborhood. If the city had downzoned the property as it was mandated to do by AB 283, we would be dealing with a 13-unit building instead of a 25-unit building. This would have been far more palatable to us. We are not opposed to a multifamily development on this property. What we are opposed to is a project that is inconsistent with the values set forth in our community plan. The MND does not adequately address this. We ask that you grant the appeal, set aside the building permits that have been issued, and require a project that is truly compatible with the community plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Weiss?
Thank you. Council members, on behalf of Ms. Carlin, my name is Noel Weiss. This is an SB 1818 project. And basically right here, right now, I think we're at the intersection of where reality meets principle. We have politicians who run for office. Those politicians say, you know what? This is what I believe in. I believe in character. I believe in community scale. I believe in preserving neighborhoods. And then we come up to the reality of the situation. Now, some people can take a detour away from that intersection, but now this council, all of you, because this is an issue that's going to impact every one of your districts, not just Mr. Rosendal's, and you need to listen to this, because what we're talking about here is a circumstance where, and what Mr. Rosendahl really needs to do is do a 245 and have the council look at jurisdiction, because nowhere, anywhere, have they talked about the AB 283 issues, and those are very important issues, because that's a state law too, and SB 1818 did not exempt AB 283. And AB 283 says, and directed to the City of LA, your plans, your zoning has to be consistent with your community plans. What we have in this city are a lot of R3 properties that go up to 45 feet that essentially end up being exposed to the speculators taking advantage of this teeny bit of affordable housing and basically rendering neighborhoods uninhabitable, or not uninhabitable, but obviously destroying the character and scale. That's a problem. There needs to be an evaluation of that, Mr. Rosendahl and council, and it wasn't been done, and that's a reason to grant this appeal. Number two, economic feasibility. That's in SB 1818. Nobody has talked about that ever at any point in time. That's wrong. The developer, in fact, by the way, this is not a situation where we've got the developer threatening a lawsuit. The developer's already filed a lawsuit. Why? Because they're hand in hand with the city attorney, basically coming in here saying, okay, we got to kind of play this game and go through this little dance. And frankly, well, so that's kind of what's basically going on here. And Mr. Resnick didn't mention that to you, okay? He's challenging the MND, but he's not doing it right here, right now. What the issue is, as far as economic feasibility, and let me just finish this thought, because I'm obviously running out of time. The economic feasibility question, the developer, these are concessions. SB 1818 says it's an economic question in terms of what's the value of the concession, and the developer has to basically say to the city, I want this height because it has a certain economic value to it, okay? There's no discussion. Okay, my wrap-up is essentially the SB 1818 requires the developer to prove that his need for the height variance is economically feasible, and he hasn't done so. That's a ground to grant the appeal as well. Thank you,
Mr. Weiss. Mr. Zumadog, last speaker.
Yes, hopefully I could try to explain it for all the people who are at Zumadog's level of It happens all the time, y'all. Anyway, maybe I could explain it for all the people at the Zumadog level of understanding. There's something called SB 1818, and an ordinance City Council recently approved that allows, they call it a density bonus, so a developer can come in, and if they throw in some affordable housing, in this case, only 2 units out of 25, y'all, you're supposed to have it anyway. Well, if you add affordable housing, then you get added density. And so this is the first one we're seeing. First of all, the neighbors aren't happy, and the developers aren't happy with the lawsuit. So nobody's happy. So here's the problem. You want to be putting a 5-story, 50-foot building right in the middle of a 1-story neighborhood. I happened to bump into one of the people in the neighborhood in City Hall. They showed me a plan of it. You know, did you ever see Sesame Street? One of these things is not like the other. Well, when you look at it, you see a bunch of homes, boom, 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 and there's one thing, boom, and then everything, boom, 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 boom. And the parking very unsafe because the only way to access it is through a very narrow alley that you come down the street. Meanwhile, you're not widening the streets. You don't have enough trash collection. You don't have enough police in the area. You're not having any more rooms in the schools. So to add all this density in a neighborhood not designed for, Zumadog says, hell nah. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Mr. Rosendahl?
Thank you, Mr. President. City Attorney, you really have to help us on this. There were a couple of things said that I need clarification on. The first thing I want to know about AB 283 and its impact with 1818 and the comment about 13 units versus 25 units. Could you react to that? And how does 1818 take over that 283 and do that?
Terry Kaufman, Macias City Attorney's Office. The only thing I can say about that is it's my understanding, talking from to the planning people, that there is no inconsistency issue related to the zoning here. So that's been looked at. That issue was raised. Staff looked at it, and they haven't found any inconsistency. So it's a non-issue.
Mm-hmm. Second is do you think that the mitigated negative declaration is inadequate? You're the city attorney now, and that additional conditions are needed to make it adequate.
Hi, Sigmund Chu, Deputy City Attorney. The M&D, as examined by staff, is adequate, and the City Attorney would defer to that determination. If you look at the Plum report, there was no evidence gathered at that hearing that would result in a contrary opinion. And on the basis of that, we believe that there are no additional conditions that would be necessary, that would be allowed if you accept the Plum report.
You know, I got to tell you, I'm very upset and frustrated. If it weren't for SB 1818, this case wouldn't be in front of us today, colleagues. We will see more of these cases coming before us. SB 1818 does not let us protect the character and scale of our communities. And in the 11th District, folks, it's all about profit by developers, and we lose affordable housing all the time. And to get 2 units out of 25 that are alleged affordable is a joke, especially in a neighborhood where the single-family homes dominate the neighborhood. And it is totally out of character and scale with the neighborhood. How do we deal with an issue like that? Is there anything you can give me comfort on? Otherwise, my district will constantly be assaulted. We're going to see these things everywhere, and it really doesn't help me with affordable housing. It's a joke.
It's a state law, and if the people don't like the state law, they need to go to Sacramento and try and get them to change the state law. It's onerous, and it doesn't allow much discretion for cities. These are mandatory requirements, and there's nothing that can be done about that. That's the law that's on the books.
Well, I'm very frustrated to hear that, and I know Mr. Reyes wants to speak, so I'm just going to sit down for a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I agree with Councilman Rosendahl. It should be 10%. It should be 20%. But I asked my colleagues when we were in committee, where were you? We were asking that question. We went through that process for 2 years. We are here now. We're dealing with a 5% requirement that this body agreed to, based on the fact we're following state law, as frustrating as it is. So when we were going through a compromise, that's something we should change. I am all for that. changing the percentage, as long as we understand that we need to meet the state law. When it comes to this issue, what's before us is the EIR. The sad reality is that the underlying zoning allows this project to be built anyway. It allows this project to be built anyway. When the discussion came back in the mid-'80s and this issue of consistency, if you look at the map, the planners then, I assume, felt it was consistent with the commercial frontage that's next to this property, and therefore that wasn't changed. But that's a decision made 15, 20 years ago. So colleagues, the sky isn't falling. The way we talk about SB 1818 is like every parcel that's R3 in the city is going to be victimized by SB 1818. The fact is, only 3% of all the projects that have been processed have been related to SB 1818. 3%. So I believe cooler heads should prevail. We should engage our planners. Right now there are, I believe, how many community plans we have in the process? Do you know? Is it 12?
I believe there are 11 currently being updated, and this is slated to hopefully begin next fiscal year.
Next fiscal year. So there's 11 community plans that are going through this very surgical process of looking at every parcel so that we can describe and define what is complementary to the neighborhood. And this is where we need to do our homework as council and make sure our stakeholders are involved in that discussion. There's 11 community plans. Next year, Councilman Rosendahl, you'll be in a position with your staff, along with the planners and your stakeholders, to carve out where the understanding and through to answer the question, where does housing go in your district? That's a real hard question we need to answer, and the community plans are directed to establish a method and a voice for the community people to say where the housing can go so that we can have the capacity and the legal ability to require affordable housing. Most of the permits being pulled on SB 1818 are in the more what's known as desirable areas in real industry speak. But these are also the places where we can now at least introduce some affordable that otherwise will not be created. And so if we can increase the percentage of requirements for affordable housing, I'm all for that. But let's understand that our challenge as a council is to start answering the question, where does housing go? And the community plan process is the legal mechanism to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Labange.
I just wanted to say, and I appreciate, Mr. Reyes, what you're saying here. Mr. Rosendahl, you have a situation where you have a house, and then you have a situation where there's a street. And on that street, they want to exercise what is, quote, the law right now. Is that correct? Help me, because you're the district man. Okay? Okay. You have a house, and next to it is a residentially multiple zone area that wants to increase its density on this issue here. This is the first case that has come recently since we had the big discussion.
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of people down here for this case. Is that correct? Who've come to City Hall?
Yeah,
Just one person?
they've just spoken.
I got that. So, in order to do this here, because I want to try to support you on the issue here, because as the district representative, you know what's best. What options do we have to be able to deal with this? And if the city attorney wants to speak to it, I want to know. Hold my time.
If I could just interact with you since you've asked me to do this. Mr. Reyes is right. The law is the law. The planning department, the city attorney, they have expressed what the law is. I am frustrated with my constituents about the law. I do believe 1818 in my district is an assault. It is not adding more affordable housing. It's actually taking affordable apartment complexes, and some of them get demolished, turned into condos, high-end people come in. In other instances, in this block, which is a quiet, sleepy block, these plans done many, many years ago gave certain opportunities that now today under SB 1818 allows. I don't fault those who believe that 1818 allows them. What I find outrageous is that in my district, it doesn't mean more affordable. 2 units out of 25, I mean, give me a break, right? It doesn't mean anything. It just means something is totally out of character and scale with the neighborhood. I don't have the ability to say, rule of 15, folks, go with me because it's my district, when the laws are against me.
Well, I don't know. I want to ask the city attorney on this here. What kind of environmental impact it has between the two zones? Explain the two zones and hold my time. Because there are two separate zones here, correct?
I can speak to that a little bit. It's R3 zoned currently, and it's actually surrounded by R3 properties, but it's near to R1.
How near?
About 100 feet, I believe.
So about 100 feet, but I mean, you got to be more than tell me to believe, because I mean, I believe everything, and I believe everybody should believe what I say when I speak. But you're the planner, you got to know for sure. How I'm looking at, these are the people who live next to this, and they're impacted by a larger building due to the density. Help me, Mr. Rosendahl, because I'm trying to get this through here. Is it 100 feet or is it 50 feet? Well, how much is it?
I can pull out a map. It's by one lot. I think part of the issue is that what's on the ground is different from what it's zoned. So it's R3, which is a higher level density or project than what you actually see on the ground. So I think some of the reaction is to the change.
Okay, I may push my button a little later because I'm going to reread this report that you've given to me, and you want to hand me anything. I also want to say to the city clerk, it would be great if we used technology like they had at the one-to-one program that would show ITA maps, sites, and I've asked for it before. It would help us understand that better on these big screen voting boards. Thank you. I'll sit down, I'll look at that, and I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. And, you know, and with all due respect, Mr. Reyes, I know you worked so hard on crafting, the implementation for the City of Los Angeles, and you do say correctly, where were we during the last 2 years on expressing some of our issues and concerns about 1818. But the fact of the matter is, I think many of us now are beginning to see what exactly this is going to do to our neighborhoods and to our communities, and I share your frustrations, Bill. I had an incident in San Pedro just recently, which could have gone another way as a result of that. So I think we have a lot of frustrations about, particularly in, when we redo our community plans, but a lot, as we all know, can happen overnight sometimes when somebody gets a hold of a piece of property. So a lot of us aren't going to be able to wait a year till we have the opportunity to really craft and work specifically in our community plans. What I wanted to ask, though, was Noel Weiss brought up the idea about the developer having to prove the financial viability of the increased height, and was suggested that this one had not kind of proved that threshold level. Can somebody speak to me about that?
Terry Kaufman, the CS City Attorney's Office. Under SB 1818, it's Government Code 65915, Subdivision F. There is a requirement for financial feasibility for waivers and modifications. That is not what was requested here. What's requested here was an incentive, and the statute treats them differently. This was a 5-foot incentive in a 45-foot high zone. So we don't believe that requirement applies to this particular property, this project.
Okay, thank you. I just want you to know, Bill, I really share your frustrations, particularly about what we're giving away for what we're getting, and I think you make up a very good point that in your district, 1818 has actually had a different effect, sometimes in actually getting rid of some of your affordable housing. So, and again, I feel very concerned about what we're giving away for what we're getting, and I think we're giving away certain things that when there's increased density, we actually need some of those things even more, like parking and landscaping and open space. So it seems to me the incentives sometimes are counterproductive to the density that we're actually giving away. So I know it's complicated. It was interesting to hear the city attorney say you think 1818 is onerous, and if we want to make a difference, we should go change it at the state level. I will know that there are legislators out there right now that are looking at the possibility of fixing 1818, particularly for cities like Los Angeles, where we certainly are doing everything we can to meet the intent and the spirit of that law by building affordable housing in Los Angeles. So it's a problem. I'll just say that. It's a problem. I'm hearing from my neighborhoods, I'm hearing from my neighborhood councils that this is a problem. So I share your frustration, but we'll follow your lead today on what you want to do on this particular case.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn, and Mr. Reyes for a second time.
Thank you, Council President. You know, colleagues, and let me ask the planners here. Could we show Councilman Rosendahl which zones are right now in a position, based on the rules and regulations, that the city's version of the SB 18 application, where we have driven these issues of SB 18 into the commercial corridors, where we have a menu, we have destinations for them. We should show Mr. Rosendahl where these properties are at, and then give him a list of all the applications that have come in under the SB 1818 rule, so that he is aware of where these cases are going to be cited, so that way you're ready to deal with these issues. But Councilmember Hahn, as she leaves, we should do the same thing for her district. Councilmember Hahn, I have a second of your time. Councilmember Hahn? That's what happens when we don't communicate. Councilmember Hahn, if we can show you where your properties are being identified for SB 1818, you should know which permits are being filed under that law, and you can be proactive in dealing with the developers and the stakeholders so you can reach that notion of compatibility. We can do that now. It's not like we have to sit here on our hands and let it happen. But I don't believe we should be in a position we should be not denying people a place to live. We should be creating housing. All the work we're doing, and this is an ancillary but significant issue. When you talk about parents and kids not being able to live under one roof, you work very hard and passionately on the gang issue, but when kids have no place to live, because we don't provide housing, it's all connected. So where do we let housing to develop is key. So perhaps you could be proactive, along with Mr. Rosendahl, and find out where these permits are being pulled, find out the addresses, and get those zones. That's something that's very easy to do, and it gives you a level of comfort as to how to take control of the situation. The sky is not falling. We need to create housing. And I wish we could change this SB 1818 so we can create more housing, more affordable. But those 2 years was about negotiating with the different stakeholders in the housing development field, the nonprofit field, as well as the neighborhood councils and all those involved in the committee process. So I appreciate what you're saying. I do feel we need to make some changes, but let's understand we still need to answer the question, where will people live? Thank you.
I was just going to...
Yes, we can provide, if you need information on maps and also a breakdown of, per council district, the number of density bonus cases that the planning department sees.
Thank you.
I was just going to remind the council that today we're here, though, on one issue, which is the appeal on the
I understand
MND.
that. I'm responding to the dialogue, the questions, because the public needs to know that this council worked very hard, and I respect Mr. Labange's position. We worked very hard to determine where housing could be, and I would only wish I can turn back the hands of time so that the deputies of the respective councils would have given us that insight.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to lose a quorum shortly, so I appreciate if you'd keep your comments real short. Mr. Labange?
I think, Mr. Reyes, just to let you know, it's critical that the people of this city, if we go out today, they don't want to see it maybe built as some of us may want to see it built. Okay? And I think that's the balance that we have to try to perform for that. I think if you base the neighborhoods, wherever they are, wherever in the 1st District, in the 4th, in the 15th, in the 11th, and inform the public. On this here, I ask for that every time they sell a house that you inform people about the zoning and the community plan that's there. The planning department either doesn't have the support or doesn't have the ability to articulate its vision to the public. The people do not want to see the city overbuilt. That is the key that I hear from people. Okay, I hear from people. Now, we've built a transit system, and we built a tremendous amount of housing in North Hollywood, which is important. There is a plan that has to be balanced out for housing in Universal City area. There's a plan in Mr. Garcetti's area along that subway system. That is a transit corridor situation. But, Mr. Reyes, it is the council and the people that we represent that has to make that decision. That has to make that decision. And I appreciate your passion, but I don't think the people of Los Angeles know what's about to hit them. And if you're going around to the other 87 other cities in the county, you will see different reaction from the people because they're concerned about overdevelopment that is challenging the quality of life that they thought Los Angeles was to them. I had to say that. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl.
Just a quick comment. Look, I truly believe going forward, I want now maps of every part of the 11th District. I'm going to take those maps before all my neighborhood councils, and we're going to look at every piece of property, because most people don't know this is an R3 and that's an R1. They don't even know what R3 and 1 means, but they know their community, and they know their character and scale. I support community and character and scale. This is coming from the heart, okay? I know the laws are against me here. 1818 is 1818. By right, developers do all kinds of assaults, especially in my district, which unfortunately is considered to be, from one perspective, the place where they can go in. And it doesn't give me any more affordable housing. It gives me less, because they tear down affordable housing. They go to condo conversions. All of the above they do. So my bottom line is this. I want those maps. Going forward, I'm going to sit with my community groups, and where we have zoning of different types, I'm going to raise those issues so that we can look at character and scale in a real sense, not just in a hypothetical, theoretical sense. So, colleagues, I am not asking you to vote with me. It is not fair for me to put you on that spot, but I'm going to vote no to point that my frustration is shared with my community. But I do realize that by right, and from what I've heard here, I really don't have a leg to stand on. But I'm basically saying to myself, going forward, I will do what Mr. Reyes has said. We're going to look at every piece of property. And I don't even know if we can change zoning, though I have made an effort on the other two pieces of property there to change the zoning so that this doesn't happen again. But I've walked that street. I've walked around that project. I have real concerns with the character and scale of what it does to my community. So including comments, folks, I'm voting no, but I'm not asking you to pull your lever to vote no on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. And for the final time, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you. Councilor Labange, I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you're saying. But SB 1818 literally is crafted to protect the neighborhoods that you care about and that I care about. The way we crafted SB 1818, it has an early warning public notice so that we have the participation of the community members and the neighborhood so that they could define how that project should look. Not me. I don't have an agenda here for anyone. I'm not in anyone's developer's pocket. I'm not here to cram down my beliefs down anyone's throat. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to share with you that our 2 years of work was about protecting the neighborhoods. Our 2 years of work was about establishing an early warning system. That was the type of drilling down work we did in those 2 years. So I appreciate what you're saying, but I need to clarify and be consistent with the record and the law based on the work that we all did during that committee period. It was designed, it was intended to protect neighborhoods, to protect our communities, and it was designed to provide an early warning system. But each one of us has the flexibility to go out and meet with each neighborhood and start defining where we see housing so the community plan process can memorialize those decisions and developers know where they should go and where they can't, because they're going to have a fight in their hands when the community folks don't like it. That is going to be the tension that's going to evolve from this process. So I appreciate your insight, but I felt compelled to respond to the assertions you were making.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. There are no other speakers on the queue. Therefore, we'll open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 1 no.
That passes. Members of council, under item number 39 is going to be moved to next Tuesday. Mr. Garcetti would like number 14 to be on consent, so if we can open the roll on 14, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. Mr. Parks, a presentation.
That we continue 39 till next Tuesday. And also, we put number 40 on the agenda, or the special. We'd like to move that, but asked for when the most available time, a closed session to be briefed by the city attorney on May Day, and also the police department as far as the financial, but we can move this item today.
Okay, 39 has already been moved.
39 will continue. 40, we'd like to move it, but ask for...
Actually, 41 was the May Day litigation matter, and that already passed.
Is it 41 or 40? I thought it was 40.
Okay, Mr. Parks, your presentation.
The May Day, whatever number the May Day is. If we can ask for that to reconsider and
41.
ask that we ask the amendment to it and ask that we set a council closed agenda to discuss further litigation and costs, and also a rebriefing by the police department on May Day.
If I could jump in here. The item was on a special meeting agenda, and that was already adjourned. So you technically can't reconsider it. However, as a report back, our office...
ask for a report back?
As a report back, our office will come back to council regarding the issues
And if we
that
can
you
get
want
with
to
the
talk.
President's office and set that date.
I'm sorry?
If we get with the President's office and set that date.
Okay.
All right. Whatever we can do to get that. Okay.
Now your presentation.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask former Councilman Nate Holden to come up with me. We're going to honor today Dr. Richard Visser, and this is behalf of Mrs. Perry. Mr. Visser, will you come up? Where is he? Come on up here. How you doing? We want to basically honor Dr. Visser because of his involvement in the whole issue of health in this city, and particularly in the 9th District. Dr. Visser was born in Aruba, in the Caribbean islands. He was foremost pharmacist family. His father died when he was only 8 years old from an obesity-related illness. From that moment, it changed his life and caused his passion to go into health and nutrition. After graduating from St. Michael's University in Vermont with a degree in science and business administration, he studied pre-med at the University of Colorado. He felt that the need to explore alternatives to the current medical model when it came to creating health and fitness, so he entered Palmer College of Chiropractic in Santa Clara and earned a doctorate in chiropractic degree. Following his graduation, he chose to focus on childhood health and nutrition. In 2006, in a groundbreaking clinical study in childhood obesity in Aruba earned him a doctorate from the University of Medicine Public Health Programs in Havana, Cuba. During his distinguished career, Dr. Visser has focused on the epidemic problem in childhood obesity from many different perspectives, as an academician, as a clinical researcher, as an activist, as a politician, and as an educator, a communicator, and entrepreneur. In 1993, he opened the Visser Wellness Research Clinic in Aruba, which offers both Western and alternate medicines to provide information on diet, exercise, allergy testing, health status to patients. His ultimate mission is to explore and impart and apply the latest innovative developments in restoration medicine for children and adults all over the world. Through the years, he He has worked and made vital contributions to a greater understanding of the biological, sociological, and philosophical factors in surrounding childhood obesity. In 2006, he was elected a senator for the government of Aruba, representing health care, sports, and well-being, and continued to introduce new laws and regulations designed to encourage improved nutrition and greater exercise in schools, including the removal of all junk food and its replacement with healthy, nutritious snacks. 2008, he was appointed to the government of Aruba and the Netherlands to the head of the obesity task force. He hosted his own television show in Los Angeles and is sought after speaker. He's a truly renaissance man dealing with the area of health. Ms. Perry wanted to honor him because of her interest in addressing issues such as her recent motion on curtailing fast food restaurants, looking for stores that bring healthy food and incentives for grocery stores, and she thought that would be a appropriate honor to ask Dr. Visser to come in. And while I'm getting the certificate, let me ask Nate Holden to make some comments regarding this presentation.
Thank you very much, Chief Parks. Indeed, my pleasure to be with the councilman once again. So this special occasion, as we honor Dr. Visser, it was brought to my attention that he was interested in wellness and health, and of course trying to combat obesity in our youth. And I knew Ms. Perry was interested in that program as well, and I suggested that she give him the consideration here to City Council, where we all can be made aware, especially on Channel 35, about here's an individual in our city, got a program moving in accomplishing many goals and tasks that we have set aside, and we should know about that. Dr. Visser, I stopped into his office one day, and he doesn't know that I have this in my hand now, which says Toddler's Health. It's a formula. So which means you got to get started early in life, letting the kids know what they should crave and what they should not crave, and certainly they should not crave the kind of food and bad food that cause them to be obese. If their people grow up, they don't live a long time, they have a short life expectancy, their vital organs cave in, liver, lung, heart disease, high blood pressure, and they die long before their time. And so he's a guy who's dedicated his life because he learned the very hard way as a young person, losing his father, who had been obese all of his life. His life was shortened. He said, I want to do something about that. He said, I want to make sure that other young people don't suffer as I did without my father being with me in my baseball team, my basketball, and so on. He became an athlete, and all those things that he accomplished in his life, he didn't have his father with him. So he really wanted to help us to understand what we can do as parents, what we can do as a city in order to combat obesity in our young people and others as well. So, and indeed, my pleasure to join with Council Parks and Ms. Perry and this presentation to a person who's most deserving because he's done so much for us already, and yet he's so young, he has much more to do.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, in behalf of Jan Perry and all elected officials in the City of LA, we want to commend you for all of your outstanding work.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to have you say something.
All right. This right here. Honorable members of Council, Council President Mr. Garcetti, Councilman Mr. Parks, thank you. Councilwoman Jan Perry, who's not here today, thank you very much. A special thanks to former Councilman Nate Holden, who came in, saw it, and was convinced on the mission that I am, and about the work that's being done, not only in the Caribbean, Latin America, and Central America, but also in Europe, and bringing that back to Los Angeles, bringing the education systems back, bringing the results back, bringing also implementation programs back here to our city and from here to the world. I believe this is the most important fight I will fight. It is probably the longest fight I will fight, which is childhood obesity. It affects everything. It affects our government. It affects our economics. It affects our healthcare. It affects every part of our nation. It is our future. These are our children. If we want global citizens, if we want to raise global citizens, we have to start by education. And
as one of our former presentations, we need to change the way we educate. We need to reinvent it. And we need to make a bridge between the scientific community and our people. And that bridge is the bridge of information, the bridge of knowledge, and the bridge of action. And that's why we're here. So I thank you. I thank you for your support. I thank Councilman Perry and Park for starting this awareness, for taking a big step in this. There's a lot more to do. I'm here to help, and we're going to go with this project all the way. Thank you very much. And one more thing, I want to invite you all to Aruba to a relaxing vacation. I am from there, and not all at once because you're too many, but one at a time. It's a small island. Thank you very much.
We're going to go right behind you.
Thank you very much. We'll take up item 44 now. We have one public comment card. We have not had a public hearing on that. So if Zuma Dog, if you'd like to come forward on item number 44, please. And then we'll recognize Ms. Gruhl for that item.
Yeah, this is something about SCAG, I remember, Southern California Association of Governments, and I'd like to take a minute on this one. It's something coming up here. I don't have, okay, it's right here. We got the Southern California Association of Governments. It's recent accomplishments and direction of the organization. Okay, well, let me tell you about SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments. We have a lot of density in the city. What happens is SCAG is given federal money, and then they say, well, gee, we need to have this much housing put in. So when city council is approving it, they put a lot of numbers that city council has to hit as far as a lot of the density I complained about. A lot of it comes from SCAG. And so that's what they've done. They've added the density, and basically we just have a lot of recommendations. And hopefully Council Members Smith and Zine can talk a little bit more about this because they're the only two that attend. It's a very important organization. More at ZumaTimes.com.
If you fill out a card, Mr. Dodd? We can't, that's, you know the rules on this, so. It actually is. It's part of our rules. So we'll hold and we'll go to Ms. Gruhl, but just fill out a card and we'll be happy to bring you forward. Ms. Gruhl.
As most of you know, and I appreciate, we have a couple items that people are waiting for and a presentation, so thank you for your patience and for my community members that are here as well. But as you may know, SCAG is the designated metropolitan planning organization in this region, and it represents LA Orange County, San Bernardino, Riverside, Ventura, and Imperial counties. And as an MPO, SCAG is federally mandated to draw up plans for transportation, growth management, hazardous waste management, and air quality. They have recently undergone some leadership changes as they embark on a new era. And we felt it was important, and Mr. Parks instigated this. He wasn't here the day we introduced the motion, so I signed for him. But I felt that it was important we hear from SCAG about their direction for the future. And today we have with us San Bernardino County Supervisor Gary Ovitt to represent us, and I appreciate you being here. You can actually sit at the table for your presentation. And colleagues, a lot of what SCAG does impacts our communities and our neighborhoods, and just appreciate your patience as well. And coming from San Bernardino, I won't ask you how long it took you this morning to be here, but thank you very much, Supervisor.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Gruhl. I appreciate the kind words, President Garcetti and the rest of you distinguished council members. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. Obviously, I'm witness today to the hub of activity that happens in Los Angeles. You truly are the hub of this region, and as far as the Southern California Association of Governments is concerned, you truly are the hub of our region as well. And so I'm privileged to be here. I'm kind of going on what I would call my SCAG tour. And so I'm taking it to all of the 6 counties and the tribal nations to let them know where we are with SCAG. And so I'll try to hustle through what I have. The one thing I need you to understand is you had the dogs, you had a cute little dog, puppy, you had the children here, you've had some real talent, some musicians, etc. You have a lot of compelling organizations that are doing important things in this city. Just remember, I don't have that talent, so I'm just going to share with you what SCAG is all about. But it is a compelling association. It is our metropolitan planning organization. We are the largest of over 700 in this country.
And we are made up by over 18 million residents throughout this entire six-county region. We were formed in 1965 at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, for those of you who can remember. 187 cities make it up, 167 of which are participating members, and obviously the City of Los Angeles is a very important participating member, and we are pleased to have you. As you know, we have issues that we are dealing with. The region is experiencing tremendous growth. We're going to grow from 18 million presently to 24 million by the year 2035. We have the most congested region in the United States. We have freight-related emission issues that plague you, plague me, even in San Bernardino County and other far reaches of our region. We also have growth which puts further demands on our open space. I'm not sure you have much here in Los Angeles, the city, but in San Bernardino County, we are the largest county in the United States. We have lots of open space, and yet the inhabitable open space is not that readily available these days anymore. Growth obviously is going to make a real impact on affordable housing, just as you've been talking about a few minutes ago. It has a real impact on waste management, how we deal with that for the future, and on, of course, our water supply, how important that is, not only to our area, but to all regions where people want to live and have water supply available. It also puts a tremendous impact on our energy supply, and finally, the transportation system, which I'll talk about a little bit more. How do we accommodate this growth while maintaining or improving mobility, economic prosperity, quality of life, and sustainability? That's the big challenge that we face. And Southern California Association of Governments says, let's do it with plans, with a vision for growth, with plans to set measurable goals and objectives and plans that attract financial support. We have three interrelated plans that I'll go over a little bit today. One of them is called the Regional Comprehensive Plan. The second one is the Compass Blueprint, of which there are some projects going on in LA City and in other regions of our SCAG region. And finally, the Regional Transportation Plan, which is just about ready to be affirmed by our regional body. The Regional Comprehensive Plan is a plan that deals with land use, transportation, water, energy, open space, economy, the climate change, solid waste, public health, and security. It is really an advisory document for the cities to adopt and use when they can to improve and make more sustainable their particular municipalities. We also include in it, of course, the greenhouse gas mandates, air quality, and the economy. And in fact, our first regional workshop was held in San Bernardino County. We are the leader in one respect because we were the first county that was sued by the Attorney General over AB 32, the greenhouse gas issues. And so we are an expert in that at this point. We've settled that suit, and we would love to work with LA City if you need some help in that regard, because we know through the battlegrounds what it's all about.
And you did a model job of it, if I could say so.
Oh, thank you. We also, of course, have become more of a green county, and we're looking for all of us to become more in tune with green building benefits, and I know all of you are adopting those as well. We want to achieve air quality and greenhouse gas mandates, and we do that through the Compass Blueprint and SCAG. And the Compass Blueprint uses four guiding principles. They are mobility, prosperity, livability, and sustainability. And we have those are typically located along new development and other regional areas where we have planned transportation corridors, and we link land use and transportation to try to make for an improved quality of life for that region. We have 30-plus Compass Blueprint projects going on right now, and some of those, as you probably are well aware, are in the city of Los Angeles and in especially the county of Los Angeles. We have let's see if here I've got a couple of them I'll mention. We have one, the Hollywood Freeway Central Park project, which I'm not sure whose district that's in. All right, President Garcetti's good choice on my behalf, right? Which is the Community Redevelopment Agency of Los Angeles is evaluating the potential for a public park, and so we are working along those lines with Hollywood Freeway 101. We also are working with the Chamber and doing preliminary engineering feasibility studies for this particular project. We also are looking at other high visibility projects such as the Exposition Light Rail Line. The Exposition Light Rail Line will, we think, help at a 1/2 mile radius of La Cienega and the Jefferson Station. So we're real excited about that particular Compass project, and the Blue Line as well. We also have what we call the Regional Transportation Plan. We are required by federal law to actually implement, or not implement, but to do the planning and bring all of the subregions together for that. We're calling it Making the Connections, and it is a compendium of policies, strategies, and projects which will be a plan responsible for the future growth. We do it every 4 years, and this is a plan that we hope will take us into 2035. And if we're able to accomplish all of these projects, it hopefully will be a better region for all of us to live in. And that is certainly the key. It's a mere $569 billion plan. Now, that's in nominal dollars. Were we to look at today's dollars, it's only $300 billion. That's a real bargain. But it's actually $569 billion. We're required by the federal government to compute that according to the strategies as far as nominal dollars. And so if you spend dollars in 2015, then you have to compute it according to the dollars in 2015 or 2020, et cetera. So that is our $569 billion regional transportation plan. That has been developed through the collaboration of all 14 sub-regions who have come together and put those projects forward. We know that the growth of 6 million additional people in that period of time has had a tremendous impact on us. We have slowed down the average speed now that people are able to go on a roadway is 27 miles per hour. And we're hoping, obviously, to improve that. We are 1 in 17 U.S. residents live in the Skag region, and obviously it's a high impact area right here in this wonderful city of Los Angeles. We expect in the future to go from 18.6 million residents to 24 million, to grow 2.5 million new jobs in this region, and to grow 2 million additional households. Now, I know that the City of Los Angeles can't take that on. We in San Bernardino County know that we will grow considerably. Riverside County as well will grow considerably. And so we are looking to help take a little bit of that off, of some of that impact off of you. We have aging infrastructure that much of this money, we're going to spend $40 billion on aging infrastructure. 30 billion of that $40 billion will be on the highway system. 10 billion will be on the arterials and the transit lines to try to improve them, bring them up just to maintain them where they presently are. And then obviously we're looking for future projects as well. We also have that explosive international trade growth. All of those, we have 16 million 20-foot equivalent containers coming through our ports. And I know that you feel the impacts of those here in Los Angeles. We feel the impacts of those in San Bernardino and Riverside counties as well, as many of those goods are making their way to other parts of this country. That will grow from 16 million containers to 40 million by 2035, and so we have to be prepared to deal with that. 1 out of 7 jobs in this region have to do with logistics and with the distribution of those goods. We also have congestion issues at our airports, as you well know, with Los Angeles, and I actually live in Ontario, and of course we are one of part of your airport system as well, and we're willing to take up our fair share, as you well know. But we expect to grow from 90 million to 170 million air passengers by 2035, and I've been working closely with Councilman Rosendahl in that regard for SCRAW. We have air quality and energy challenges. There's no doubt about that. I actually serve on the South Coast Air Quality Management District with Councilmember Jan Perry, and so we are dealing with those issues as we all are dealing with those issues, of course. We also have to worry about energy for the future and where we're going to find that, and certainly there are many alternatives out there. But the biggest challenge as we look at this regional transportation plan is the money challenge. How do we raise in revenue that $569 billion that we need? There are two parts of the plan. One is called a constrained plan, and those are the projects that we feel have viability, and we have the availability of the revenue sources and the planning to make them happen. The other side of it is the strategic plan, and those are projects for the future that we're going to do further study on. Some of the HOV projects that we want to talk a little bit about here, LA County, you have some that revolve around the I-5 and State Route 14. We're going to spend close to $8 billion on some of those projects by 2035. We're going to spend $25 billion on mixed flow projects, many of which, of course, are in this area. As you well know, you have real congestion issues, as I experienced as I was driving in here this morning. We also are going to spend a number of dollars on high occupancy toll or hot lanes and the toll road system for the future. That will be a $40 billion investment throughout the entire region. We also are going to spend $5.9 billion on commuter rail improvements, $1.7 billion on light rail improvements, and $5.2 billion on heavy rail. $600 million will go towards bus rapid transit, which will be helpful here in this region, as you well know, but also in some of the other regions where we don't have quite the transit system that you have in this area, this urban area right here. Let's see where I am here. We also, as you know, I talked about the goods movement, and at SCAG we're planning to try to move goods faster and cleaner throughout our region. And so we have a $13 billion investment that we're going to make in freight rail. The idea behind it is to give more capacity to the main line, to also provide grade separations to improve upon the congestion issues from the traffic, and finally to improve the locomotives and put them, move them from the Tier 2 to the Tier 4, which burn much cleaner and will be much better for the air quality in our region. Thank you. We also are looking at the I-710 segment of the dedicated truck lane facilities. We're looking to make 78 miles of that dedicated to truck lanes and to make those clean trucks that utilize those dedicated truck lanes, and they will be funded by user fees. And then the regional airport system, of course, we need market and ground access incentives to try to make those airports of the future viable. When we look at Ontario, we're supposed to grow from 7 million air passengers a year to 30 million by the year 2035. The only way we can do that is we need rail to bring them in, whether it be the initial segment of the SCAG high-speed rail is imperative to be part of that, because we do not have the access to bring people in without using some system such as that. And so with that, we are dedicating $19 billion for the initial operating segment, which is from West Los Angeles to Ontario. We also have the Anaheim to LA Union Station segment, $4 billion dedicated towards that particular segment as well. We also have a freight component in that high-speed rail, which would bring the goods from the ports up to Hobart Yard, and we anticipate that we'll be able to move 9.2 million of those 20-foot equivalent containers through that method. We also are doing some planning on the inland port feasibility study. We don't know yet where it will be located, but we will have an inland port to handle a lot of these goods as they're being moved through the region. So, $569 billion. We have a shortfall of a mere $155.8 billion. How do we get that new money that we need? And these are the strategies we're looking at. One's called value capture strategies, where we have benefit assessment districts that we're looking at, as well as real estate sales of property owned by Caltrans presently. We're looking at the local option sales tax extensions, which every county, with the exception of Imperial, has already gone on board for that. We're looking at user fees, which could be tolls, container fees, and fares. We're looking at state and federal gas excise tax adjustments of 10 cents per gallon by the year 2012. And finally, we're looking at private equity participation, public-private partnerships, which will help us, we hope, get to where we need to go. What will that plan result in? It will result in mobility and air quality improvements, and that's what we're here to do, is to try to improve life, the quality of life in this region. The strategic plan has a number of projects as well, and I passed out some information so you can look at that at your leisure if you would like. It has been a busy year. One of the things we instituted at the very beginning when I took over the presidency was a group called the Force for Change, a committee to look at SCAG as it was a year ago and see how we could make it a more impactful, a more powerful agency for the future that reflected where we are presently. And so we've got a number of bylaws that we're suggesting changes with for the future. We have a new executive director. Mark Pisano is now teaching at the University of Southern California, as some of you may know, and our new executive director, Hassan Akrata, is doing an excellent job in that new leadership role. We also have become more of a member-driven organization. We have 76 board members. You all sit on that board if you choose to. And so we do have a large board, as you can tell. And we have a lot of representation from throughout this region. We have a desire to establish a SCAG office in every one of those 6 counties. Obviously, the headquarters will never leave Los Angeles. You truly are the hub. But we do want to have satellite offices in the other counties that will be doing implementation, will be doing planning and other important roles so that their counties feel like they are in fact a part of this SCAG region and it's not LA-centric as much as it is a regional body working for everyone's needs and issues. We hope to take advantage of any of the opportunities that come before us. We're looking at bringing the universities, the great universities of this region together as we look at the issues that will be impacting us for the future and trying to resolve some of those issues, working together, bringing the private sector into that as well. We'll be on the airwaves, letting people know what the SCAG mission is, and finally we want to make sure we make those trips to Sacramento and Washington, D.C. to make sure that they know what we are trying to do in this large, important region called Southern California Association of Governments. It's the LA region, if they will. And finally, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you and give you the State of the Region update for Southern California Association of Governments. I am proud to serve in the capacity as president. I only have one more month and then I'm done. But the next person will take it on and will do a great job. Appreciate the involvement from this great city in the SCAG region because you do make a big difference. And if there are any questions, Mr. President, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you very much. Did you want Ms. Gruhl before we have Mr. Reyes, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Rosendahl?
No, please.
Go okay. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. First, I want to thank you for your hard work. Must be a real challenge to deal with the regional issues, given all the players that are on the stage, given our regional differences. Mm-hmm. Well, my question to you is really about, in the vision for the future of SCAG, one of the, I believe, roles is introducing this notion of public service, planning and development and the impacts of quality of life to students. And there used to be fellowships for students coming out of college to go get their masters as a recruitment base so that we can get talent and show them what it is that these careers have to offer. I benefited from that. Without it, I think would have had a hard time getting to my master's. Is there a discussion in that regard within your dialogue? Please hold my time.
Thank you, Councilman. Absolutely. The reason behind bringing the universities and setting this up in a symposium or conference-type methodology to discuss the issues is a way of getting the universities embracing our issues and at the same time hoping that we can, from them, bring some interns to SCAG so that we can work together, and we can work together in partnership with these great universities to provide resolution to some of these conflicts and issues that we have. So absolutely.
And given the high cost of higher education, to be able to facilitate at least those individuals who come from areas who feel it day to day to live in neighborhoods where there's 60, 80,000 people per square mile versus those who are living in other conditions that there's a different point of view, there's a different level of focus as to this notion of relief. And so the ability to inform community stakeholders about this notion of density, there's an assumption that if we build structures and buildings, we're going to bring density, when in fact the population is already there that needs housing, that needs jobs. are we looking at how this region is actually either balanced or imbalanced when it comes to the number of people in respective areas? Do we have that capacity to demonstrate those kinds of issues?
We have done some modeling in that regard, and we have looked at where people are actually located, where the jobs are located, where the residential areas are located as well. We've done studies on that. We understand that, and we actually have a lot of studies that we can make that information available to you if you'd like to see it, which helped us in some of the planning that we've done for the future.
And just lastly, the impact of natural birth rates.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at what that means when it comes to our sewer capacity or our water needs or where the housing should be built and how we preserve our great historic neighborhoods, that whole understanding of what natural birth rates mean in the future, is anyone touching on that subject?
To my knowledge, I don't. We haven't really addressed that at SCAG. Obviously, we allow a lot of local control on your issues. We just make some recommendations here and there. And when we talk about regional housing needs assessment, yes, we are responsible for that. We give the numbers out, and you will hopefully be the ones who will design where that residential housing will go, et cetera. But I think what you do is bring up a great issue for us to attack with the university. So I think that may be one of the issues that we want to deal with first would be the birth rate issue and how we deal with that for the future.
And just in terms of housing and fair share, it's been a very controversial and sensitive topic. But there are cities who choose to enforce laws where only certain income groups can reside.
Mm-hmm.
Other cities absorb the labor force. Their zoning patterns and their laws and how they describe their environment in terms of limiting X number of housing, as sensitive as that is and controversial, do you see that being dealt with the new leadership? If you were to look at where the residencies are being built, and you look at the job base, then who's actually absorbing the workforce when you talk about people are making $20,000, $30,000, even $40,000 a year? I mean, it's hard for them to afford an apartment where they're now charging $1,500 for one bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So they're concentrating people where they could live. Is that subject matter being recognized or even discussed in this deliberation of the future of the region?
I don't know that we've actually taken on that issue and actually addressed it separate from others. I think it's a very diverse organization and representative of, as you can see, a huge diverse region, and so I think that's a good issue for us to tackle, as well as I think we need to bring the state legislators involved with that as well, because legislation from the state helps us to get the message and to know where we need to go. Sometimes they bring out good legislation, other times they do not, but we need to be at the table letting them know how we feel about it, and so we would love to have them as part of the discussion.
Well, thank you for everything you do, and I appreciate presenting the opportunity to get to know you and the organization.
Thank you,
Even
Councilman.
further, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, and I thank the supervisor for coming out here today. I know it's a trip downtown, but you've done a lot of that this year, so I appreciate all you've done at SCAG. I don't think everybody fully understands the responsibility that has been placed on SCAG in the attainment figures by the federal government that is on the region, not the city of L.A.,
right.
But as the largest city in the region, if we don't be a part of that, the whole region is out of those figures, and then what happens? So the question is, what happens if the region does not meet the attainment figures set by the federal government that's on the region, not the city of L.A., and if we don't do our job in the city of L.A., what happens then to the region? So if you could explain that very briefly.
We lose out on our federal funding. And when we lose out on our federal funding, we all know what kind of a situation we would be in. So that's it. If we don't comply with the federal attainment figures, as you mentioned, then we as a region would lose our federal funding. And so we would really be hard-pressed to try to solve some of these issues.
And the biggest federal funding issue is obviously in transportation funding.
Correct.
Which the roads and all that, which we have trouble maintaining now, we'd be the further
with the limited
behind.
dollars.
So I think that's a critical thing that we as the city of LA, the largest city in the region and second largest in America, if we don't come forward and step forward and participate in this process, we not only hurt ourselves but the entire region. and with it goes down the entire transportation planning for the region. I think
That's
critical. That's critical to understand. SCAG has really done a tremendous job in the RTP, the Regional Transportation Plan. Could you really very briefly explain the connectivity between what we do as a city in our transportation planning and what Ms. Gruhl does in her committee, and then what SCAG is doing on the regional level, how they come together in the RTP?
I'd be happy to. As I mentioned, there are about 14 sub-regions, which are county transportation commissions, obviously the city of Los Angeles, and then the sub-regions who bring their projects forward. They decide what they want to do. They bring them forward to the we have a transportation committee, and then the transportation committee starts putting out a plan which includes all of those projects and whether or not they're viable based on funding and strategy, CEQA, all of the kinds of things that are required of them. And so we put that plan together, and then that is what we will submit once it's finished to the federal government for compliance, as you say, attainment, et cetera. And so what it is it's, if you will, the bottom moving things up to the SCAG region. I don't know if bottom top is the right terminology, but anyway, it's the sub-regions, it's the local level moving things up so that we finally have a plan which includes all of the different projects from the entire region which we submit. And so that's basically how it happens.
Thank you. I appreciate you explaining that for those that didn't understand what SCAG does. And remind people here that SCAG was really partially the brainchild of Tom Bradley. And as mayor, he said, we need to be talking to those other 88 cities, and not that many at the time in LA County, but in this whole region, because we sink or swim together. And he realized that, and LA played that significant role in the foundation of SCAG, and I just hope I see more of my colleagues participating with it. And thank you for being here again.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Yeah, first, I want to thank Mr. Smith, who has been truly a leader in SCAG in Southern California. He's always found a way to make it happen when many of us, including myself, find ourselves engaged in so many other things, and we don't do enough with SCAG. So you've been a model for me, and frankly, I want to follow in your footsteps on it. For those who don't know, you and I do work together. We're on the Southern California Regional Airport Authority. You're the vice chair, and we have worked together for the last couple of years on regionalism. So I'm most grateful for how you view the LAX issue and the Ontario issue. You've been a tremendous supporter to say Ontario needs more direct, nonstop, frequent, and discounted flights by the major airlines, because the Inland Empire, as well as Orange County, would love to go to Ontario. That's where they want to go. But the problem is the major airlines don't care how long it takes you to get to their gate, as long as you get to their gate. Well, we do on the ground. I appreciated how you described the regional transportation needs and put those big dollar figures around it. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just want to ask you what you think of some of Michael Feuer's proposed legislations, the various creative strategies he's doing. Is he moving in the right direction in terms of the most important aspect of it, which is getting the funding in place?
I'm actually not that familiar with it, but if you will make me a little more familiar, I'll be happy to comment.
Well, one is a sales tax. Another could possibly be a gasoline tax. Another could be some bonding mechanisms that would come in. Some would also take what we just did a couple of years ago and got money from the voters to agree to go forward, but just finding revenue streams. Because plans are great, but if we can't implement them, we're in this constant frustration between the plan and the implementation, between the plan and the reality, and the rubber hits the road. So on that level, how do we get ourselves in a regional sense with a regional transportation infrastructure?
Thank you, Councilman. And certainly I agree. We're going to need a lot of alternative methods or strategies for bringing those dollars in, because as I mentioned, we have almost $156 billion shortfall. Private-public partnerships are so important, where we allow the private to build and to operate and maintain some of these public transportation systems. Makes a lot of sense. Certainly, we talked about the hot lanes, the toll lanes that are probably going to have to be instituted throughout the region a little bit more than we have presently. We're also looking at, as you mentioned before, bonding. That's imperative. We'll need container fees as SB 974 by Lowenthal is going before the state Senate. We've worked on that as well to try to make sure that there are container fees available to take off of the ports and be used for the rest of the transportation corridor and the goods movement corridor. Obviously, the sales tax issue that many of the counties have already instituted is so important. The gasoline tax is important. All of these need to be utilized because even with all of that, I am afraid that we're still not going to be able to do the kinds of projects we need. If you look at just the grade separations that are needed in San Bernardino County based on the goods movement, we need 39 grade separations. And when you look at that in the way of dollars, that's billions of dollars that we need. And obviously the plan doesn't include all of those that we need. And I can imagine that when we look at the city of Los Angeles, you're far short of your needs. And that's why you're looking at every possibility of raising parking meter fees and everything else to try to come up with the dollars that you need.
How do you feel in your leadership, which you're a visionary, and we're thrilled that you're head of the organization at this point, the relationship with SANDAG, is that how you say it, which is the San Diego part with SCAG? How do we get all of Southern California? I always say from San Diego to Santa Barbara, we're all in this together. We have to be all working together.
I think it's imperative that we do that, and I'm ready to open dialogue with them more on that. We're talking right now, you and I, of course, are talking as members of SCRAW to try to bring them into the planning process for the future of aviation and commercial airlines and also the freight industry as well. But it's important that we bring them in on everything because where the I-5 goes out of L.A. County or Orange County, it goes to San Diego County, and so we have to work together to solve these problems. They have it made down there. They're one county, one regional, one county transportation commission. It's pretty easy for them to get everything done that they want. In fact, Imperial, who probably has more in common with San Diego, chooses to be a member of SCAG because they have more influence at the table with us because we're more diverse and we're 6 counties and we listen to them and we are interested in working with them. So that's the key, is to try to loosen them up a little bit and say, hey, you are not the only ball game in town, and we want to talk with you and we want to work with you, even though they have the only pro football team in town. But we want to work with them.
I'd like your advice on this. It's a touchy issue. We are a donor state. We give $50 billion more to Washington every year than we get back. We have only 2 senators, 2 great ladies, but 2 of 100. So they don't have the juice in the Senate representing 36 million people that, frankly, the states that have 1 million or less people do. It's pathetic, frankly. But we do have the House of Representatives, where approximately 1 out of 8 members of the House is a Californian. How do we get our delegation, Democrats and Republicans, to forget partisan politics, work as a team, and fight for us? We were in Washington a couple of weeks ago, Access LA, the partnership with a bunch of communities in Southern California, the political leadership and business leadership, and we find that we are not functioning non-political, because most issues I deal with, they ain't Democrat or Republican issues. They're people issues, they're infrastructure issues, and so on. How do we get the federal government to appreciate us more so that we can have more federal dollars for infrastructure and all of the other issues?
Councilman, I think you bring up a very good point. What influence we could have if they voted together as a bloc on our behalf. And my feeling was, when I first became president of SCAG, we passed an emergency resolution basically saying, this is a health crisis that we're facing in Southern California based on the air quality issues that we have. And so my intent was simply that we have 76 members on the board for SCAG. All of you are members, of course. We need to bring our congresspersons together in a forum and sit them down and say, okay, we represent your constituency. We need you working for us. You need transportation is not partisan politics.
Right.
Some of these other issues are not partisan politics.
Right.
We've been trying to we would love to have Senator Clinton working on our behalf as well when we talk about ports, because she has New York, the ports of New York as well in her area. And so we need to work together forget about, there are some partisan issues, but we're not asking about those. We're talking about our commonalities, not the differences we have. And that's what we need to do, is bring them together. And, they don't have a Brown Act issue or anything, but anyway, we need to bring them together and say, hey, I think if we, as council members in LA, as council members in the surrounding cities, say to your different congressmen, we need you to come together, we need to have a forum, we need to talk about how we can be more influential, and you need to represent us as well as the rest of our constituents as you go back to Washington, D.C. This is what we would like to see you accomplish. I think we can make headway, and I think we need to do that.
Well, bless you and thank you for being who you are and for sharing your time with the whole Southern California group the way you do, and you're making a huge difference. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you, Councilman, very much. I appreciate working with you, and I'm just a hick from the sticks.
Mr. Labange.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know about that, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you. Appreciate what you're doing. We have to do a better job. I have been neglected in that issue here. But when you talk about all these needs and you're in the Inland Empire, there's been explosive growth. Has there been any pushback from the constituencies in the Inland Empire, from the various cities?
The one issue that we hear most about is simply this: why do we have to always come up with all the affordable housing? Because the Orange County cities and even LA for you folks, we understand you are you're already impacted to such a great degree. There's not much growth room.
But the affordable housing is based on the cost of the land, and the cost of the land is cheaper in San Bernardino. And
exactly.
So that's how it goes.
The requirements seem to be somewhat egregious. You look at the city of San Bernardino, and that they have a lot of vacancies, and yet they're not able to count their vacancies, their vacant homes, their vacant apartments towards the affordable housing. And so they have to build new in order to meet the needs of the future. So that's kind of the pushback we do here. Other than that, we are more affordable, and for the most part, we don't mind having the blue-collar workers living in our communities. We want to provide jobs at home so they don't have to be on the freeways in all the congestion. I mean, we gave ourselves a grade in regards to transportation or congestion in the Skag region, and we're right there at the F level. I mean, in fact, our grades are so low that if we were a senior in high school, we couldn't go to the prom. So we need.
I didn't make it to my high school prom, and you kind of make it through those things. But let me ask you this: Congressman Jerry Lewis, I think, has done a tremendous job in bringing things back to your region as for the infrastructure, freeways. I know they criticized him, but that's what Congress has to do when we talk. Donor state, that representative, he brought it all back. If you go through Old Riverside, you've made all those improvements. And I can remember, when they used to go out to the raceway, I mean, I could go back where they were, you see the vision is differently there. I would just want to close with one thing, too, if we could make a challenge. Mr. Rosendahl and I thought of having a regional conference, and it's tough to get congressional members who do, and there's only, you talk, Bill, about only 100 and the 535 members of Congress. There's a lot of worldly issues, but locally it would be great if they cannot come, or their chief staff, or their chief field person, whatever the case may be, try to have some annual focus in some way, and say we're going to do this for 4 years and have a meeting in Los Angeles 1 year and Orange the next, San Bernardino, and rotate it around, whatever. But thank you, Gary, for what you do as a supervisor. But this extra load is so important because the region needs help and it needs guidance. And I appreciate what you're doing about looking outside the box, inside the box, how to make the SCAG. I think you got to change the acronym name. Because I don't know if it appeals to that. I was trying to think. I was looking at the words there. It makes it a little more, whatever it is. I'm thinking when you say SCAG, I'm thinking of all the times I used to get scabs when I was a kid playing.
I would agree with you, Councilman, and I love your idea. And what I will do, I will take it back and let SCAG know that we're going to try to pull something together where we invite all of our congressmen to come, and I think it'll require you to exercise your leverage with them as well and say, you need to be there, we're going to be there, we need to sit down and talk. We need to make things happen for Southern California.
And additionally, have a SCAG week where it informs the public, of what it is. We have Navy weeks here when Janice Hahn welcomes all the SIPs to see. Traditionally, maybe there's sometimes in Southern California, information is knowledge is power. And if we have that information and the knowledge, we can do the right things with the power of the people to deliver good communities, good jobs, and a better quality of life.
I like that idea, and you are the power of this region, so we're going to piggyback on your power if we may.
Thank you very much. And that is our last
Thank you,
speaker. So with that, is this a note and file action? Or is this for a vote? Oh, yeah, we have Mr. Dowd's card, excuse me. Thank
you very much.
Thank you for the reminder. Mr. Dowd, if you'd like to come forward on item 44, please.
Yeah, I
Didn't have to sit there. Go
I
ahead.
prefer it. Please. Can
Go
I
ahead.
Can I not address comments to the director or the,
Sure, he's listening. We're just making it clear for us. Go ahead.
and I'd like some kind of clarification from the city attorney about the speaker card issue. I should have had my comment earlier. The cards are only for the orderly conduct of the meeting.
We announced at the beginning of the meeting that speakers should fill out a card. If we run out of cards, we sometimes accommodate that. But there's a stack, and I just asked you very politely to fill it out. And thank you for having done so. We'll credit your time and go ahead.
That's very, very fuzzy and warm, Mr. Garcetti. But look, okay, let me talk about SCAG. It's an important thing to have as organization between the cities and the county and this type of organization. But if he's leaving in a couple of months, I want him to pass this information on, is that I'm one of the general public. I'm one of the guys who's out there. How I think is how a lot of people think. So let me tell you something. People, they don't want these mass transit things. The majority of people, they don't want hundreds of billions of dollars. It's an SUV world here. See, people have kids, they have groceries, they have luggage. They want the privacy. They don't want to get coughed and spluttered all over by people on the public transport, people with AIDS and communicable diseases. I mean, how many people here took public transport down here today? Me. And here's a couple more, right? Obviously, you don't get the city car yet, but they'll be working on it. That's good to see. There's people taking public transport, but these mass transit things that cost hundreds of billions, it's money down the tube because people are not going to use them because they want the freedom. It's America. They want to be able to get in their SUV. See, China, by 2020, China's carbon output is going to be the equivalent of 4 billion SUVs. So we're nothing. We're really going to be nothing in the carbon stakes. China and India, they're going to get all our old technology. They're burning that stuff up like crazy. So take care of the real people with the transport and the freeways, not with these mass transportation systems.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. That'll close our general public comment on this item. And if we can open the roll on this one, close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you very much. And would like to recognize Ms. Gruhl for a very patient group of great honorees that are here from the 2nd Council District. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, and appreciate their patience as well. And today we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Global Youth Services Day. Global Youth Service Day is the largest annual celebration of young volunteers where millions of young people in countries everywhere carry out thousands of community improvement projects. All participating organizations are encouraged to plan youth-led community service projects that involve the broader community in the service day or showcase existing projects to the media and surrounding community. It is an annual public awareness day and highlights the valuable contributions that young people can make to their communities. And so I'm honored here today to stand with some of our local participants in the Global Youth Services Day. Youth for Positive Change, which is a project and program in the San Fernando Valley and participates with Global Youth Services, is presenting their service learning projects tomorrow as part of Youth Service Day. I'm here with Vice President Anthony Ortiz Luis, who serves as the Youth Agency Administrator, and Brianna Burkeen, a senior from Verdugo Hills High School in my district, and who is a spokesperson for Youth for Positive Change. And I think had class or a test this morning, so hopefully it went well. And so the Youth for Positive Change does such a great job in my community for this past 10 years, and I want to thank them because they have instilled and inspired young people to do things differently. And we know that to address the issue of gang violence and youth dropout rates, it really takes involving young people, and often peer-to-peer conversations and peer-to-peer involvement, which this organization does, can make a big difference in the lives of a young person and help us here in the city of Los Angeles. And so they have been addressing the Youth for Positive Change students, gang violence, global warming, school reform, drunk driving, immigration, and customs enforcement. And this is really an opportunity for them to have dialogue about these important issues. And so I wanted to be able to thank not only Youth for Positive Change, but also Brianna, and make sure that on June 6th at the Northeast Valley City Hall, students from Youth for Positive Change will be putting on a health fair to teach their peers about the importance of healthy living and healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle. So I want to thank you on Global Youth Services Day for all that you do, and ask Anthony and Brianna to say a few words about what they're doing and what their involvement has made for their neighborhood and their community. And so why don't we have our student speak first? So thank you. And she learned a lot about City Hall today. And Mr. Weston was particularly concerned about making sure you got up here because he said you'd been waiting a long time. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you, Council President Garcetti and Mrs. Gruel over here. I'm Brianna Burkeen, and I'm president of YPC Student Association, and I'm also the youth spokesperson for Global Youth Service Day. Global Youth Service Day is the largest youth service event in the world, with millions of young people engaged in service and service learning projects throughout the country and the world. It is sponsored by State Farm and presented by Youth Service America. This event's purpose is to inform, educate, and create awareness for all people, both young and old, about the positive service that young people perform throughout the year. Youth are our greatest resource. We must engage and include young people to be active decision makers in addressing many of the issues in today's society. Young people are passionate, energetic, and committed to improving not just their lives, but the lives of the people around them. Young people contribute positively and improve their communities every day. So I strongly encourage the council and young people throughout the city of Los Angeles to get involved in service and service learning projects, not tomorrow, but today. Thank you, Mrs. Gruel. You're truly a remarkable person that inspires and supports the efforts of young people throughout San Fernando Valley. We appreciate all your hard work and the work of your staff.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just want to just kind of reinforce what Ms. Gruel was saying about Brianna. Brianna's a great student ever since we got involved with her in the 9th grade. She's always been the one that's out there doing service, community service. She completed over 120 hours of training to become a peer mediator and a peer counselor. What that means is she's out there resolving conflicts and helping other students do better academically. Involved in Girl Scouts, involved with Optimist Club, and involved with all the different school activities. She's a remarkable young lady, and she is. Where are you going to college next year?
I'm going to Pasadena City, and then I'm going to transfer to Anderson University.
She's going to Pasadena for first 2 years, and then going to Anderson University in Indiana. So, truly remarkable young person, and I applaud her efforts all.
Thank you so much. So it's my pleasure to present this resolution for Global Youth Services Day to Brianna for all that she has done. It's signed by the entire City Council, the Mayor, our Controller, and City Attorney. Let's give them a great round of applause.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gruel, and congratulations again to Brianna. We'll be taking some comments during this period from the public. And Zuma Dog is our first speaker. If you'd like to come forward after we clear the podium, don't worry. And then after that, Oscar Johnson will be second, and then Arnold Sachs is our third speaker. So, Mr. Dog.
I'll never get a kiss from Wendy Gruel after my public comment, y'all. But anyway, first of all, I'd like to start out by saying City Council wants to green L.A. One way to start, you got these City Council agendas. You could print on both sides of the paper. That's a tremendous waste. So Zuma Dog would like a symbolic resolution. Please use both sides of the paper on the agenda. You can cut back on 50% of the paper because we got a budget crisis. Also, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa video of Zuma Dog and Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, one-term Tony, now available at ZumaTimes.com, where you can see audio of the council meetings. We got a $500 to $700 million budget deficit crisis here. We've got this Broadway festival that was here today that's costing the city $162,000. It's an event with AT&T and All Access Entertainment, one of the most, the biggest concert event promoters, and they're sponsored booths. So if we're sitting here trying to come up with revenue generating ideas, raising taxes, creating new taxes, raising fees, trying to come up with ways to cut and belt tighten, the mayor is cutting services citywide. Jobs are being lost. Why is the city spending $162,000 for a street party? That's the first thing I would cut. It's sponsored booths. Let the sponsored booth money go to pick up these services. It's AT&T. It's all access. So these are the things, special event fees. You got city council putting up their dog and pony shows. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. We have to cut jobs. We have to cut services. And we have to put on we have to raise taxes and raise fees, triple the trash collection fees. We need to put taxes on the phones and internet, 25 cents per plastic baggie, all kinds of new things. We got to think of new ways, new personal income tax, all these things we have to do. We got to, if you live in a 5,000 square foot house, you have to pay too. Meanwhile, you're spending $162,000 for a party.
Thank you. Oscar Johnson is our next speaker. Is Mr. Johnson here? Thank you, Mr. Dog. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker, and Matt Dowd will follow that. After that will be Noel Weiss.
Please reset my time, Mr. President. I had to sit here for 2.5 hours while you did all these presentations. I believe I deserve 2 minutes, no matter how far I have to walk. If I could sit closer to the front, then I wouldn't have to walk so far. Thank you, anyway. Budget discussions on Wednesday were very interesting. Ways to increase revenue. It's like spitballs at a charging elephant. Adoption of services, maybe, similar to Adopt a Highway could be considered. Maybe a bid for street sweeping. Staff expenses. When are you going to address staff expenses? When are you going to eliminate perks that you have? You're part of if you're claiming to be part of the solution, then you're also part of the problem. How about a salary rollbacks? You had all the workers here when you were talking about the CRA new contract. Why wasn't it time to step up and say, we support you we hope you support us when we pass this new legislation, this new bill. We need your support when we talk about holding your salaries down or revamping the new wage salaries that we gave the Department of Public Works and Water and everybody else. And you would have gotten a lot of support from all the workers here then on Wednesday. How about a two-tier wage system that's prevalent in the private sector? How about having that approach to the city? And yesterday, the LA Times had an article about Laguna Hills and where they have specially labeled parking meters that collect funds for homeless services. How about something like that? And when are you going to decide to cut your salaries and eliminate the perks? You read the newspaper, you read the editorials. Everybody talks about addressing your situation, and nobody here wants to look at it. So when you decide to do that, then we'll know you're really, really looking forward to helping the city. As long as you don't, keep your cake hole shut.
Matt Dowd is our next speaker. After that is Noel Weiss.
Yeah, thank you, Matt Dowd. First of all, I want to give a shout out. It's Anzac Day, and I want to give a shout out to all the Anzacs and a moment for all the soldiers who died, especially the ones who defended Crete in World War II when Winston Churchill got all the Kiwis and Aussies to sacrifice their lives so all the English could escape the other end of the island. I want to shout out for the Armenians. I understand what they're going through, the genocides, that genocide is still not being acknowledged because it's a hypocritical federal government in that score. They want to be in with Turkey, so therefore they can't rock the boat with Turkey, but the Armenians are still here. They'll keep coming back, and I'm supporting them now. I'm on side with those guys because I understand genocide. I've seen it happen on a smaller scale right here in the city of Los Angeles. Michael Hunt got a permit yesterday from the Department of Parks and Rec. Here it is, officially reinstated as a Venice Boardwalk expressionist. So let me tell the city of Los Angeles, this is the third permit he's had, and yet the city attorney just sat here last week and told Janice Hahn that the city still wants to litigate against us because we're not inextricably intertwined, and yet the city's given him a permit, which to me is it's an authority to be out on the beach. So which is it? It seems to me a big loser to keep litigating, but you're still giving the guy a permit to go out on the beach. But he's forced to get that because he had to repeal that law that he got kicked off the beach under. So he had a 2-year stay away under a law that's now been repealed, and he's got a permit. But the attorneys are going, oh, we still want to fight them. I mean, that's dumb. And Richard Alarcon set the bar on dumb. He said my comments were dumb, so I'm allowed to call the attorneys dumb. I can call anybody dumb.
Noel Weiss is our next speaker. After that, we'll go to the Valley. Sharon Brewer will be our next speaker.
Council members, good afternoon. Willie Brown's book, Basic Brown, in it, he talks about what is a politician? What's the definition of a politician? He analogizes the position that you gentlemen hold and ladies hold to that of a nurse, kind of the nurse to the body politic. I think it's a great analogy because what we're looking at is you have to listen to the people, but you also have to act as kind of an aid and assistance. Mr. Labange's idea about having some kind of an advocate to take care of these public comments, that was a good idea. I don't know whatever happened to it.
We announced a couple weeks ago that person's been hired. They're available
really?
in the clerk's office.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for Mr. Labange. Appreciate it a lot. Politics, you know, we're not talking about perfection here. Politics is the art of the possible. But when you look at what is wrong with looking at, for example, education? Mr. Alarcon, we took a year, but hopefully on May 13th we're going to talk about some of these educational issues, how we can basically meet the needs of the people in that regard. Mr. Wessons promised originally, TOPA, should have been end of February, early March. Okay, we had some time issues. Hopefully the end of next week, we're looking at that. I appreciate that very much. We got issues of Special Order 40. Are we meeting the needs of the people there? I don't know. You know, we got... The people are really concerned. I mean, we're dealing with foreign terrorist organizations, I guess, with regard to these, MS-13 and the 18th Street gang. I don't know why, for example, what would be wrong with a resolution that says, President of the United States declare these particular gangs who want to basically do our people harm as terrorist organizations, so we can get the benefit of some input from the federal government. I don't know that anybody's basically talked about that. We shouldn't be fighting lawsuits all the time with the city of Los Angeles. You guys should really be in a position, and gals, to do your job right the first time. We don't, I mean, I don't have time to deal with some of the specifics, but honestly, thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Brewer is our next speaker in Van Nuys. After that will be Al Piantanida in Van Nuys as well.
Sharon Brewer, public comment, 1 p.m. Financial policies of City of L.A., fiscal policies, fee waiver policy. From time to time, council may decide to waive fees when it can be demonstrated that a direct public benefit can be obtained. These policies are not intended to replace or supersede the revenue policy stating that sufficient user charges and fees will be pursued and levied to support full cost of operations for which fees are charged. City Council special event fee waivers up to date July 2007 to April 23, 2008, $4,134,370 plus. Breakdown July 2007 to December 2007. 734 total motions, 599 with amounts, 125 reimbursed, 10 no amounts. January 2008 to March 2008, 196 total motions, 123 no with amounts, 59 reimbursed, 14 no amounts. April 1st to April 23rd, 2008, 102 total motions, 79 with amounts, 19 reimbursed, 4 no amounts. Totals July 2007 to April 23rd, 2008, 1,032 total motions, 801 with amounts, 203 reimbursed, 28 no amounts. Again, total amounts waived $4,134,370. Again, fee waiver policy. From time to time, council may decide to waive fees when it can be demonstrated that a direct public benefit can be obtained, not from day to day or council meeting to council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brewer, and thank you for your patience this morning. Al Piantanida is our next speaker. After that is Miriam Fogler.
Thank you, President Garcetti.
Good morning.
I'd like to speak to the council on the subject of illegal businesses. Los Angeles each year is losing millions of dollars in tax revenue, city permit fees, business license costs from the enormous illegal business activities going on citywide. These illegal businesses are at an epidemic proportion and out of control, causing many honest legal business owners great financial harm and causing them to close up their doors and many of them moving out of the city. This is another major tax revenue loss to the city. The public health and crime problem caused by the overwhelming illegal food vendors without proper health certificates, business permits and license, and a legal place to do business. Again, another loss in tax revenue to the city. When you see a small Mexican family business obeying all the laws forced to close their doors at dinner time because of an illegal taco truck parked a half a block away, making $2,000 to $3,000 a night tax-free, or a small music and video store owner who is forced out of business because just a few feet away on a city sidewalk, an illegal business is selling CDs and movies, or a young mother selling illegal fruit from off a pushcart for slave labor wages is being robbed by gangsters. My city councilman Tony Cardenas and my lead officer Rich Wall of the LAPD Foothill Division have worked many task forces over the past 2 years of cleaning these illegal businesses and food vendors with great results and success. With our city budget crisis, I fear that these task forces will no longer exist here in the city of Los Angeles. Our city ordinance and fine structure is just a slap on the hands to these illegal vendors and businesses.
I can ask you to conclude since our 2 minutes is up.
Okay. To them, this is just a cost of doing business. I am hoping that somebody will champion this cause in City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. We very much appreciate your comments today, and thanks for your patience. Miriam Fogler is our next speaker. Then we'll come back here for Michael Hunt.
Here we go, folks. We're on a merry-go-round. And, you know, this is going on every single day here at City Hall. Daily News today, April 25th, they said that you're stealing from the poor and giving it to the rich. Well, you know what? You're the ones that are doing this because the people vote you in office. And Sharon Brewer convinced me that it's your fault because you've been putting this off very too long. And the city workers have sacrificed their goodwill and their heart for the city, and even my husband. They all work very hard. They didn't take raises for a couple of years for the city here, and a total of maybe 5 or 6% over 5 years. They tried to help the city to balance the books. You had the time, and you guys just sit on your laurels thinking that everything's going to be fixed, and you just keep putting it off. And here is this McCourt, who is now unveiling his private entrepreneur. Good luck to him. But they want to bring a football team in here. I don't know what you people are doing. You're driving out a lot of businesses. I've seen a lot of good businesses are leaving. I don't know why you people don't want to treat the workers right here, the unions. You go for the private unions, but here you don't become good for the public unions. And especially the civil service is supposed to keep you honest. The civil service system comes from the date of the origin of the Chinese. And this is not right what you're doing, asking them to negotiate. Under no circumstances they are to negotiate. I'm telling the union coalitions, do not negotiate. These guys at City Hall need to take a pay cut, big pay cut, because as of July 1st, they're going to get another one under Prop H, and it needs to be repealed. It's not right. And they asking us when they should be negotiating their raises down, including Nahai, who's the Department of Water and Power, making so much money, $304,000. This is taking from the poor and giving to the rich.
Thank you, Ms. Fogler. Michael Hunt is our next speaker here. After that is Vicki Carlin. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This has been a beautiful afternoon. No more Mr. Hunt. Mr. Hunt been reinstated to sell his shea butters, so congratulations to you guys. I'm back at work. That means a great deal to me. So instead of Michael Hunt coming down here, I guess it would be Matt Dow and Zuma Dog. But give them respect. I brought them to you. I'm happy as could be. I'm back at work. That's all I care about. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. Vicki Carlin is our next speaker, and then Susan Zabana.
Good afternoon. I would like to respectfully request that you consider offering a rebuttal period for the public for when people are coming up here and spending time to address an issue that's on the agenda in public comment, that there should be a rebuttal period, because it's very frustrating to sort of be on this side of the rope when there are issues being discussed among council and also city staff when there's actually some misrepresentations of fact from public documents. And I feel like we could actually be assets to the discussion by being able to engage in that dialogue. And I would, I had to take a vacation day from work to be here, and there's a certain opportunity cost, and I would just like to feel like the time was well spent and that we actually had a meaningful dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the suggestion as well. Susan, I'm sorry, Zabala or Zabana? Is there Susan Zabaya? Can't quite read it. I'm sorry. Is it Zabana?
Zabala.
Zabala.
Who's
Zabala.
reading my name?
Absolutely. Of course. Oh, yeah. Nice to see you. Thank you, Susan.
How are you? Pleased to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Yeah.
I didn't put the face
I'm
in
so
the name. Go
proud to
ahead.
know that you're the president of the council.
Thank you.
Anyway, Mr. Gasset, I've been meaning to meet with you in person for the past, I would say, close to a year, to talk to you about my property, address of which is 1636 North Mohawk Street, LA 90026. It's Echo Park, Silver Lake community. Because I don't want to say I believe I'm being harassed by one of your Los Angeles Housing Department inspectors. And I'm sorry that I will have to give him his name. His name is Stephen Yen. It used to be Mr. Mike Soto and Mr. Joe Guevara, who is assigned to my property down there in Mohawk. And for the past, as far as I can recall, for the past 8 months, it's been Mr. Stephen Yen. And he has really become such a nuisance. I hope you're listening. He has become a nuisance, not just to me, but to other landlords as well. And I know that for a fact because when I went to the office in Wilshire, there were at least 3 landlords who have complained about him as being notorious. And this has to stop. And I requested several times his supervisor, at that time it was Mr. Javier Melendez, I'm sure you know him, to replace him, and he said he would take over. And he did for a while, but being, I think the chief, I don't think that's the job of the chief to go down to anybody's property to check on property.
Okay, Susan, I know that we're working on your case, and I'm going to have my deputy come speak to you as well. And I think
there's one point that I'd like to really, I'm going to cut it short.
I'm sorry, because we have to be equal with everybody.
Yeah, I know, but this is my main concern. Okay, I'm going to cut it short.
So we'll come speak to you. I promise we'll come speak to you, but we have to be equal with everybody.
I just have one. This is very important. Is it possible to include in the bylaws of the Los Angeles Housing Department not to lump together a property that's classified as multi-residential complex?
Okay. We'll come speak to you about that right now. I promise you.
Because
okay?
it's not fair.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And I know we're working on your case, and we're going to help you out on that.
Lisa, you're going to have
Thank
me
you so
speak
much,
to
Susan.
deputy right now?
That will, Cecilia from my staff is coming to speak with you in just one moment. I have to continue with the meeting, but just sit right there and we'll take care of you. We will now go to item number 40 as we await the full constitution here. And I know this has already been public hearing, so we're going to hear some comments from the public on this item which has been raised. Just like to recognize Ms. Gruhl to give some general
Thank you, if we
comments.
could,
of her own.
and they have been extremely patient. The item was continued on Wednesday and brought today, and so I'd like if we could have that public comment.
We'll hear some comments from the public on the item that was heard in committee. Olga Kirarte is our first speaker, and after that will be Jasmine Sarkeesian. And thank you as well for your patience in a very busy morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you. I'm against the plan project. I live right behind where they're planning to make this plan. We are in disbelief and disappointed because, in our opinion, the city appears to have abandoned us, or the developers. We can't believe that over 20 years ago, the city denied a proposal to build an apartment building on the site because it was against the general plan for the neighborhood. And yet now, factories spewing chemicals in our homes is in the general plan. The development will be used for light manufacturing and parking for the businesses, which will emit chemicals including concentrated levels of lead that cause serious health problems. They are toxic and hazardous to human health. Light manufacturing can create these hazards, such as adding additional cars, which the parking lot will do. My understanding also that one of the future tenants will be an air conditioning repairman. One of the chemicals that he uses to repair air conditioners is called chlorofluorocarbon, which is bad for people who have asthma and other health problems. The mitigated negative declaration only addresses issues during construction. It does not mention anything after the factories are built. Kevin Jones said at the last hearing that there will be filters. Even if there's filters, even if there will be filters, they aren't going to stop the effects of hazardous chemicals. If it would, there would be no state law prohibiting the use of these chemicals within 500 feet of our homes. Filters do not prevent harmful diseases, not from 500 feet and certainly not from 60 feet behind our backyards. And yet we have to take time to convince you to protect our rights to health, welfare, and safety. And I want to also add that there's 2 schools, public schools, that are 0.2 miles from the planned project, and we already are getting a congestion. And stop signs they're not even respecting that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jasmine Sarkeesian is our next speaker. After that is Edvard Karapetian.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jasmine Sarkeesian, and I live at 13156 Keswick Street, North Hollywood. The factories that are going to build are going to be right behind my backyard. I'm worried about this. I live in the home with my 4 of my family members. My question is, why are you trying to overdevelop a site that in the past has always been a buffer zone to preserve our safety and our lives? Isn't that the city's main job to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens? Having winds blowing cancer-causing chemicals into my house is not protecting my family's health, welfare, and safety. Even if they put filters, is that supposed to make cancer-causing chemicals non-cancerous? If that were true, then there wouldn't be any laws against having those chemicals around the people. The factory will be 60 feet behind my house, but California state law requires between 500 feet no hazardous chemicals shall be used with the residential property. So what kind of city government are you? Why don't you think about developers only? So the business is going to operate from 7 to 10 p.m. I am to leave the house at 5 a.m. to go to work. When I'm supposed to sleep, I need to be able to sleep to work and provide for my family. Is the city going to provide for my family when I can't work? No, of course not. Please, the city we want to have a green and clean and safe. But that's not changing the zone is not gonna do that. So health issues, traffic issues, safety issues, home values, those are our concerns. So please consider before changing the zone from the one is currently have. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Edvard Karapetian is next, and then Gardni Agi Manukian will follow after.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Edward Karapetian. I live in 13156 Keswick Street, North Hollywood. I'm worried about my family's health when they built this stuff on those properties. So please, I ask not to change the zoning. Just leave the way it is. Should be happy. Thank you.
Thank you. No, we heard about keeping the zoning the way it is. Thank you.
Say it again.
Absolutely.
He didn't hear you. Say it again.
Thank you so
I
much.
said just leave the zoning the way it is so we don't have to suffer from this.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agarni Agi Manukian. And then Robert Lameshaw will be after that.
Hello. My name is Agavdi Manukian, and I live at 13148 Keswick. The factories that are going to be built are going to be right behind my backyard. I'm worried about this. I have 3 children, and I won't feel comfortable with my kids using the swimming pool in my backyard because of the lack of privacy. I'm also afraid of somebody hopping the wall to break into our house or do something to my kids. On top of this, one committee in Van Nuys said we should have another wall. Yet the last committee, Planning and Land Use Management Committee, said we didn't need another wall. We're not even worth another wall. They said plants were enough for privacy, but it's not. They can use the trees or plants to help climb over the wall that's there now. I worry about my family's health. My husband has severe asthma, and if he becomes too ill to work, we will lose everything. The traffic is going to increase a lot on our street. There's only one entrance into this site, that's on Ethel. It's not going to be safe for my children to play out front. The businesses are going to operate from 7 to 10 p.m. also on Saturdays. That means there will be more than one shift of employees. So there will be a huge increase in traffic, not only in front of my house, but also down the street at the school where my child goes to. It's already very dangerous in that area. All of this is going to affect the value of my house. The factory will be 60 feet behind my house. It's going to be 2 stories and have 5 vents on top of the building facing the backyard of my house. Having factories right behind our house, 60 feet away from the factories and 8 feet away from the parking lot, we will have no privacy, no ability to enjoy the yard, reduction in safety, not being able to sleep at night because of traffic, noise, people, and lights shining into our homes. Who would want a home like that? How is that going to affect my ability to sell my house? I only bought this house because we were guaranteed by the person we bought it from that there would be no development in that site. He showed us a copy of the city's refusal in 1987 to allow an apartment building to be built. I'm almost done. Please don't destroy my family's lives, our health, our ability to work, take away our safety, and destroy the value of our homes. Thank you.
Ms. Manukian. Robert Lameshaw, is our last speaker.
What? I thought you were the card.
Good afternoon, Council. For the record, my name is Robert Lameshaw with JPL Zoning Services, representing the applicants and developers. This project has been fairly heavily vetted and has gone before Plum, the Planning Commission, and a number of other agencies. We support the Commission's recommendation and Plum's recommendation based on the appeal we had, with a couple of minor changes. The committee, and I believe the council member, indicate that hours of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. are acceptable for uses. We have no problem with this, but we would like to add the wording open to the public from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. A lot of the people who work at this place will sometimes have to work late. I mean, I'm sure you all have had to stay later and work on a computer, or just deal with what they're dealing with inside the office. There would be no adverse impacts, no public coming, no customers coming, no deliveries, none of the types of concerns that I think were legitimately addressed at the Plum Committee that Mr. Reyes, I think, did a very good job of dealing with, by allowing the business operators to continue to work inside the building, in a closed building, not open to the public after those hours. So we would like to propose that the hours be listed as 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, as far as not being open to the public, and then not being open to the public from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and not open to the public all day Sunday. That means there would be nobody coming there except maybe the boss or the secretary who had to do some work to prepare something for Monday. We would also stipulate to a condition that said that there shall be no noise detectable outside of the buildings between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. to ensure that the quiet enjoyment of the residents which abut this property would not be infringed upon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lamashal. Ms. Gruhl, for some
Thank you.
comments
And
in
I
response.
know we want some clarification from the city attorney, just so we clear on this, that this we have this will be finally discussed and decided on a week from today at the Van Nuys City Hall for further discussion potentially. And colleagues, I just want to say and thank Mr. Reyes and the Plum Committee because a lot of the concerns that neighbors have, you listened to and heard and made some of the changes, I think, to reflect that. This is an area in which it is commercially zoned next to a residential and trying to do all that we can to protect it. There is an amending motion that is before you that will be considered next Friday as well. If there is additional comment at that time, there's landscaped buffer trees and other areas. And the concern by the timing, and I think Mr. Reyes addressed this in the committee, was particularly to ensure for the community and others the fact that no matter what the tenant was, that there was not that noise. It is adjacent to that residential area. So I wanted these individuals and neighbors, and Mr. Lamashal have come down now twice. I want to make sure that while they were here, they had an opportunity to speak. This will be continued until next Friday for final decision, but all of the members here who are here and others will have transcripts of this today.
And, we, just for the record, to state clearly, the quorum was lost in the midst of the meeting, so we wanted to afford the opportunity to hear those comments from the public as people had been here. Final vote was going to be for the Van Nuys meeting next Friday, a week from today, and we will work to schedule that. And Mr. City Attorney, did you want to add?
Yeah, and just to underscore what Councilwoman Gruhl stated, that all members who will be voting on this member next week will have seen the video of the comments that were in council today.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, having lost the quorum, the other items will be continued as well. That happened unexpectedly. We will make sure there's a few other items that were called special. Any speaker cards that were put in will continue to those items on Tuesday. We thank everybody for their attendance to this meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. Before that, Mr. Reyes, a quick announcement.
The Los Angeles Bicycle Master Plan update is currently in process, and that we'd like to have your comments for the master plan. You can make your comments at www.labikeplan.org, or you can stop by your local council district office, pick up a comment card, and mail us your comments on the city's bicycle plan. And comment cards are available in English and Spanish. We're welcome to participate.
Thank you. And we remind the city employees that are listening as well that we, of course, have those great new bike lockers and places to bring your bikes in and shower. So we encourage that. And thank you, Mr. Reyes, for your leadership on that. So, Mr. Labange, any other announcements?
Thank you very much. Tomorrow in Griffith Park, the March of Dimes have their annual event, which the city has a great team, and we want to welcome everybody out at 7:30 in the merry-go-round area for the March of Dimes fundraiser, the annual fundraiser. And also I want to thank Simply Green for their great contribution today in cleaning up parts of the Griffith Park burn area. And they were involved with the Fern Canyon Trail along with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps to restore that part of Griffith Park. I bid you all a good day and a good weekend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. If there are any other comments, if not, we'll next meet on Tuesday, the 29th of April. We'll see you here in City Council Chambers, room 340 of City Hall. Have a great weekend. Thank you.